Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a wonderful sunset safari with us. You are looking at an African buffalo, and it is a wonderfully warm day. This is Safari. Hello, everybody. It's so great to see you all again. My name is Tayla, and on camera this afternoon, we have got Zander behind the screen. So we're looking at a buffalo. It's very hard to make out that it is actually a buffalo, but some of you that have watched the show this morning may have seen a quick glimpse or remember that some of the lions were covered in blood, but there was no kill in sight. Well, we've managed to relocate on this buffalo, and unfortunately he is severely injured. We didn't get a great look at him this morning because he was tucked away, as he is now, behind all these shrubs, but he's got definitely some lacerations on his body. I saw quite a bit of blood coming from his nasal cavity too, and as you can see here, he doesn't look very well. There's a little oxpecker that's sitting on him, and I don't know if this buffalo is going to make it through the night. I think he's probably lost quite a bit of blood, and I think he is not feeling so great. We're going to sit here for a little bit. We are going to have a little bit of a sit here and just watch him, just to see if he maybe gets up and moves around. The rest of the buffalo herd is not too far. But guess who else is out with us this afternoon? It's the girl power team. So I know Jamie wants to say hello. I'll see you all a bit later.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Sunset Safari, and on this lovely Sunset Safari you find me in my more comfortable zone on the back of the vehicle rather than in the tent as I was yesterday on the Sunset Safari. And starting off, not circling around our poor buffalo, but with a group of thermaling vultures. But before we get on to those, my name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have Dave on camera with me, and it is a very bright and beautiful afternoon. As you can see, this is not my hat, this is Brent's hat. I don't think he'll mind. I think mine's become part of the tent set now. That's where I think I've lost it. And Brent's on leave now, so I get to use his hat, and all the vultures are gone. They moved incredibly quickly. So they're not circling the dying buffalo just yet, although that is a very sad sight to see that you've just been witnessing with Tayla. But we're not far away at all. Wait, where are we? No, we're not far away at all from where that buffalo carcass was that we've been with over the last 3 or so days with the Nkuhuma Pride. And I think they've just finished off what's left of the carcass. The hyenas, I imagine, did most of the work last night. I wasn't out this morning on the sunrise safari, but I did hear the hyenas heckling away at the lions before I went to bed last night. I know that they probably were chased away from that kill. And as a result, the vultures came down, picked up the scraps, and are now doing what's known as thermaling. And they were giving us a don't go anywhere, hat. They were giving us a really nice example of it earlier, but they've all now crossed onto Buffel's hook. Vultures, because they're very heavy birds, flight for them can be incredibly inefficient, and I'm talking about the normal flapping style of flight. What they've devised is an incredible way of using rising air currents, and the other raptor species do it as well, but vultures with their enormous wingspans, and we're talking for whiteback vultures over 2 meters or over 6 feet in length, massively extended wings. They then use it to sort of ride the lift, ride the air currents, ride the thermals, and a very energy efficient way of checking for food in the air. And like that, the highest recorded bird was a Ruppel's vulture, or a Ruppel's griffin, at 32,000 feet. That's roughly the height of a commercial flight. So they're absolutely incredible birds, and I'm hoping they were going to pop out, but they're not going to. Not the normal neat spiral that you would see usually. That's because it's a very gusty day here in the Sabi Sand, which I feel as though I'm saying pretty much every day now. It's become the standard weather for our springtime season. It is lovely and warm, 30 degrees, so 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And our vultures have disappeared off. It's always nice if you have the opportunity, and one of the reasons why I was desperately trying to get them back on camera, because sometimes you find Usually when there's a kill in the vicinity, but occasionally not, you'll actually find a mixture of birds in a vulture spiraling circle, and they're not all vultures. Sometimes you might get to see a marabou stork, you might get to see bataliers, tawny eagles, all sorts of things. So an action-packed sunset safari is what we have planned for you, hopefully. I'm going to be making my way slowly but surely towards the Nkuhumas and where they were left this morning by James. Not 100% sure where they were, but I'm pretty sure I'll figure it out. It's usually quite easy to follow the vehicle tracks. And then I definitely know that there are lions close to the Tayla Dam. The reason I know that is this afternoon I was sitting reading a most thought-provoking book on the lions of the Kruger National Park and their very unfortunate relationship with the poor Mozambican refugees coming over the border. And as I was reading a particularly graphic description, the lions started growling at each other and snarling right outside my bedroom window. So they're close, right outside Inga's, somewhere in the bush there. For somebody who didn't quite realize exactly where they were, that came as quite a startling moment. I'm going to keep searching. I'm making my way slowly because you've got to be careful of rushing to a sighting. And while we get to the lions, let's go back across to Tayla and see how that poor buffalo bull is doing.
Well, Jamie, this buffalo is looking very much like a rock at the moment, except that you can see the occasional ear moving. He did sit up a few minutes ago and just sort of looked around him. I think he's feeling extremely vulnerable in his injured state, and he's quite far into the thicket, I'm afraid. But I don't know if you can see all the little oxpeckers that were perched on his side, and when he does sit up, you can actually just see one of the old wounds from this morning, and you can see the blood has solidified, and that's why those oxpeckers are hanging around on that buffalo. And as great as what oxpeckers are for cleaning the buffalo, removing the parasites, unfortunately they can be a bit of a pest too. And this is a perfect example. This wound is trying to coagulate and stop bleeding, but those oxpeckers are going to continuously keep pecking at that wound. You can see them all hopping around there just to try and get all the nice fresh blood that's coming through. So that's what oxpeckers are feeding on when they're eating ticks, is that they're feeding on the blood of the ticks. I'm hoping that maybe he does get up and maybe move away, but unfortunately he is tucked away quite nicely. He's got a bit of shade there, and I think that's what he's after, just trying to get a little bit of relief. Although they all go. Debbie, welcome to the show this afternoon. So you're writing in from all the way from Vancouver, and Debbie wants to know, should we be a little bit more cautious with this buffalo being injured? And you're quite right. We've got to give this animal space. It's under a lot of stress. We're quite far away from it. We're probably about 70, maybe even 65, 70 meters away from this buffalo. We're on the road. We obviously don't want to disturb this buffalo too much. Now, we're not so endangered in the vehicle. If you are on foot, my goodness, you really, really have to be careful, because something like this that's normally used to living in a big herd is now obviously on its own and it's injured. I've seen a buffalo get up with a broken leg and run like there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. So this buffalo that's got a few lacerations on it and a few bite marks, I didn't see any broken bones, it's going to cause a lot of damage, and it's going to act a lot more aggressively off the front than what it normally would. But for the moment, he's not really too bothered by us. I think he's just concentrating on trying to live as long as he can. Something disturbed the oxpeckers though. I don't know if you maybe heard that. They were all sitting on them. You can see all the oxpeckers have flown off. I don't know if they heard something or what it was. But they got up and they flapped their wings and they flew into the distance. Well, it's very windy here today as well, so I think the wind took them in a direction that they maybe didn't want to go. But now he's completely flat. And it's definitely something we're going to follow up on for most of the drive. We'll sit here for a little bit longer, and if he doesn't show any more sign of life, I can still see him breathing though. If you look very carefully, you can see him taking some breath, as that hopefully we will be able to follow up on him a little bit later. Wouldn't it be interesting if some hyenas came around and found him? And I think that the hyenas may give him a run for his money if there are enough of him. Otherwise, Jamie was saying earlier with her interesting experience she had this afternoon with the lions are not too far from here. They're probably only about 250 meters away. So I'm hoping this wind does a bit of a change and sort of blows a little bit more in a northeasterly direction. At the moment it seems to be going sort of, I don't even know what direction. I've stopped, of course, typical. So it's going sort of straight east now. But it's not looking very good for this buffalo, I'm afraid, and it's inevitable. I don't think he is going to make it through. It'll be an absolute miracle if he manages to survive this ordeal. But unfortunately, I think with the drought, so the lack of food, everything is just against him, I'm afraid. And there is a bit of wind, like I said. So if anything picks up on his scent, he may be in a little bit of trouble. I think what we're going to do now is let's leave him because he's acting, obviously he's in dire straits at the moment. Let's go around, let's try and see if we can't find those lions that Jamie was talking about, because I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. So hopefully once it cools down a little bit, we'll follow up on him as well. Right. What else have we got? See also if we can maybe get a better view, but I don't think so. I think that little spot that we had was the best that we were going to get. See, there was a herd of buffalo that were quite close to him, but they seem to have moved off. We actually saw them ruminating earlier this morning, but possibly they've got up and started moving and hopefully have gone to find some water. Radio. Let's take a slow little drive around. So remember everybody, if you've just tuned into the show, we are live at the moment, which is quite incredible that you can be in the middle of Africa and actually watch us on the internet. So if you do have any questions for us, you're welcome to send them in. You can either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or alternatively you can send us an email at questions@wildearth.tv, and we'd absolutely love to hear from you. I'm slowly starting to remember some of your names, which is quite exciting, and seeing all your posts on Twitter. Right. And I'm also slowly learning the reserve, believe it or not. Very slowly though. Not doing that too quickly. I was so excited today because obviously the clouds cleared and I wasn't too optimistic about that happening this morning. But now the wind has picked up, and we all know that the wind is not our friend when we do safaris. It affects the animal senses quite heavily. Also like to try and find some elephants this afternoon. Safari Slave wants to know, well, firstly, sorry, Safari Slave said that unfortunately missed the safari this morning, and he was very curious as to why the lions would have left the buffalo. Now, I don't think it was by choice. I think that buffalo gave the lions a good run for their money and jumped on their backs. The lions jumped on their backs, and he probably bucked and bronked around and maybe even horned one or two of them, because they did have quite a bit of blood on them this morning. And I think this buffalo just managed to get away. Maybe even the rest of the herd that I was telling you about heard the distress calls of this buffalo and came charging in and chased the lions away. And it did give that buffalo that was already injured, I'm afraid, an opportunity to move around. So we're going to go around. I just want to do another loop. I just want to make sure that there's nothing else around here, that nothing is moving. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to carry on looking for these lions. Hopefully they're doing something for us. And let's go see how far Jamie is to finding the rest of the pride.
It seems as though Tayla and I are very much on the same page. Sorry, Dave's massive bottle of water just went tumbling. It's alright. They're very clear off-road tracks that are very clearly from this morning. Shall we follow them? Yes, let's. I don't think this is... Well, maybe this is where they were. Let's go find out, shall we? I figured I'd find my way eventually. Oh, this is just slightly sooner than I expected. Oh well, something was here this morning. Let's go and investigate what it was. I'm sure it was those lions. This is where, speaking of buffalo and this poor individual you've been looking at with Tayla, this is exactly where the Nkuhumas killed that buffalo on one of our live sunset drives not too long ago. And I would have thought this was where the lions were. And it looks as though we're going to have to go right down in here. Good luck, Rusty's signal. Yep, there's the buffalo skeleton. Can you see it there, Dave? Always a nice idea when you're going into an area like this, when you know you're approaching a lion sighting, and you know that it's quite dense. So just have a double check as to where they are. And the reason I say that is because I don't want to come around the corner and suddenly find myself really very close to them and startle them in any way, particularly not, of course, with the little cubs wandering about. We might, as we go down here, lose signal, but let's see how we go. It should be okay. I know it was okay with... Oh, I'm in Wendy. It should be alright. There's no vehicle tracks going down there. Where do these vehicle tracks go? I think they've just moved down into the drainage lines. Apparently they were more out into the open this morning, but since the sun has got higher, or actually come out, it was very cloudy this morning, I think they've retreated a little bit further into the shade. I'm just going to concentrate on figuring out exactly where they've gone. I doubt they've gone too far, and while we figure that one out, I'm going to send you back on to Tayla.
Hello everybody. Seems like Jamie and I are having great fun with the lions this afternoon. They seem to have both given us the slip. Now, I'm not 100% certain where these lions were, but they are supposed to be somewhere around here. So I'm just going to drive along here, going very slowly, just looking for perhaps a nice tree where it is providing some shade. And I think that would be a good place to start to try and find the rest of these lions. Where they have gone. I'm also not so sure. I didn't see these lions earlier this morning. James had all the cats this morning. Lucky him. So we need to find them too. Hang on, Jamie's looking for me. Go, Jamie. Jamie's talking to me. Copy, thank you. So Jamie's just confirming where she heard those lions earlier today. So we're just going to have just take a little cruise here, just to see. Like I said, I'm looking for big trees because I think that's where they would be laying. There's not very much vegetation around here, and I don't think that they would be lying under a small shrub. I'm just going to go off-road. It's quite open though. We're not really doing any bundu bashing. So it's quite easy for me to talk to you and to drive. We're just going to double check through here because we know they are in here. This is quite nice and open, and I think we're going to find them shortly. Hopefully, keeping my fingers crossed. It's always good to be optimistic. Nothing so far. Sandra, have you seen anything yet? Nothing. Come on everybody, send us some questions. What are you thinking? Who's watching the show? Love to get to know you all. Oi, a little bit of a bumpy bump. Right. Nothing so far. Just double checking. you know, lions can roar, growling, and all those strange noises that they make can travel quite a distance. And there was quite a bit of wind today, so it could have been distorted slightly. Let's go here. I love Rusty. Rusty is so small and is able to maneuver through the most amazing things. It's quite incredible. Wait, hold on, Xander. But it's not too bad. There's just a few trees that the elephants have actually pushed over that are causing us a little bit of hassle, but nothing that dear Rusty cannot handle. Radio lions, where are you? Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Huh? Let's go up here. Let's just have another look. It's quite strange driving a petrol engine vehicle. Sharon wants to know if there is a fence around our living quarters. Well, yes, at Inger's, where Jamie lives, which is just a little bit of a distance away, yes, there is a proper electrified fence. So unless they leave the gate open, nothing is really going to come through there. However, where we live, which is just to the west of Inger's, there's only an elephant wire, and an elephant wire is obviously a fence that's quite high, so there's just a few strands, and no, that can allow anything to come in. And if we leave the gate open, well, then the elephants are coming in too. They're actually regular visitors. They come and eat our wonderful garden. So I'm just going to go through here. Just watch your head, Zanda. I don't want to take the cameraman out. Can you imagine me having to try and drive and do the camera at the same time? That would be disastrous. Right. Whee! A few leaves. Okay, let me just have a little scan through here. Haven't seen anything just yet. However, these lines are blending in so well at this time of the year. I like to keep mentioning it. See, here we are. You may even see the fence now around Inger's. So I'm just going to do a little detour just to double check. Oh, no, Brent's not suntanning here this afternoon. That's good. That would have been an awkward surprise. No, Brent is on holiday at the moment. He's having a well-deserved break. Right, through this little gap we go again. So we haven't seen anything just yet. So we've covered a little bit of the eastern section. Hello, Kathy Doodle. Kathy Doodle, who is a new viewer, welcome, wants to know why are all the trees dead? Well, it's winter. This time of the year, all the trees actually lose their leaves, so it's quite normal. And then, of course, the grasses tend to disappear too. So that is why all the trees are dead. And some of the bigger ones that have been pushed over, those are dead because of the elephants. They kindly did some landscaping for us. I'm just having a very quick scan because now I'm quite sort of northeast of Inger's. Just double checking. There's quite a lot of thicket though, so they could be anywhere. Lions, where are you? This is great. This is where I keep saying I wish that I could speak to animals. I think it would be so amazing. I wouldn't have had to have done any of this. I just would have said to a battalier that was flying over earlier, hey, Mr. Battalier, have you seen some fluffy cats? And he would have been like, oh, yes, yeah, right over here. But no, I don't know anybody that can speak to animals. So apparently James is a bird whisperer. All you viewers back at home have told me this. Lions. You know, I'm wondering also if they haven't maybe got up and moved away. I don't want to go too far west just yet. No, nothing. A Logosaurus. Still nothing. Goodness gracious. These lions are really, really, really good at hiding. I haven't also seen any tracks. I'm going to take a moment to just have a little look. I'm going to go back this way. I think I'm going to venture into some thicker vegetation. Maybe I've missed them. I didn't have my carrots last night for dinner, so I could have missed them. Oh no. Whee! Goodness gracious, this is a bit bumpy. Elephants have obviously been digging around here. Still no lions. Where are you? My goodness. They really are giving us the run around. But it's fine. Sometimes it's quite nice to work hard before you are rewarded. Can't have everything handed to you on a silver platter. Life would be too easy and everybody would be very good at it. We have a hornbill. Let's see if it's going to sit nicely so I can actually show you that we have creatures lurking about at the moment. Let's see, where did you go? There. Still no lions. Right. Did you see where he landed? Oh, I didn't see him. Okay, hang on, we're going to get him now. The hornbills have been giving me an absolute run around today. I tried looking at one this morning and it was really beautiful. And then he flew away. I'm going to... Can you see them over there? Mmm, delicious. What are they eating? Let's have a look, see if we can have a closer look now. And we've got a pair of red-billed hornbills, and they are pecking at a piece of elephant dung. Can you see that? So I reckon what's happened there is that's quite an old piece of elephant dung, nowhere near as fresh as the piece I found this morning. And I think that they've turned it over, and the termites had started decomposing all of that dung. So that's what I was actually doing to try and find insects for James while he was in the tent, is I was turning over a lot of dung, because often it houses different insects. And look how happy they are. It's like they've won the jackpot. They've turned that piece of dung over, and now they are picking out all the little termites. And termites are so full of protein, they really, really are good for you. So I'm sure Steph has told you quite a bit about termites. Oh, you get a high five. You won't believe it, everybody. Zander is an unbelievable spotter. I'm going to reposition. He spotted the lion. I've got a little shrub blocking my view, and all I could see was the birds. An absolute champion. All the ladies in FC are roaring with excitement. So we're going to quickly reposition. So how awesome is that? Sometimes it is amazing just to stop and look and actually just look around you. He looked, I didn't even see that. How did you see that, Zander? Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And we actually didn't need to do any body bashing at all. Can you believe it? I think those lions are having a good laugh. So let's see who we've got here. Thank you, hornbills, though. The hornbills gave us a great show in the meantime. I see you. I see you, lions. Has anybody spotted the lions yet? Okay, I'm going to just plan this carefully. Just going to get the sun nicely. I really want to have a look at this big male lion. So I'm going to go around, I think. Just like this, just so we can see his face. Oh, look at that. Look at that kitty cat. Look at him, look at him. Can you see him there? He's got the wind blowing in his hair. Isn't that lovely? And eyes tightly closed, unfortunately. It is quite hot though. It warmed up very nicely, as I said earlier. So they are just relaxing. However, I think he's going to move. You can see clearly how he's covered in sunlight at the moment. And I don't think he's going to particularly enjoy that. So I saw 2 female lionesses in this male. There could possibly be a 3rd female lioness. If I'm not mistaken, there were 3 female lions, and they are lying just behind a guarri shrub. It may be a bit difficult to see them, but at the moment he's posing the best. Ah, sorry, my mistake. It was only 2 female lionesses, so we've got them all here. And he looks like he's in La La Land. What are you going to do, lovely lady? They're all quite sleepy at the moment. And it'll be exciting if a little bit later they just do decide to get up and track down that buffalo that they almost managed to take down. Look at him there, look at the flies bothering him. That must be the most frustrating thing, is having all these biting insects constantly biting you. And I always think, you know, these animals, they don't look where they lay down. They just plonk themselves down, and that's it. Goodness, when I go to sit down on the ground, I check make sure there's no scorpions and beetles and wasps or all sorts of things there. And they don't care. They just plop down, and then the insects don't even bother them too much either, you know. They just sort of move around, except the flies. And I suppose if you decide to plonk yourself down onto an ant's nest, I don't think they'd be too happy with you either, and I think you may find yourself in a little bit of trouble. But let's keep our fingers crossed that he does decide to stand up and move up and change position. Ah, fantastic. So Jamie, girl power is definitely rocking this afternoon. The lions gave us both a little run around, but Jamie's got the little Nkahuma cubs.
The lions are making us work this afternoon. We've finally managed to catch up with the Nkahuma pride deep within the Nyala Road North drainage line. So exactly what we thought before, the fact that they've moved a little bit further into this river system. So that's what we call a scene away us. Breathe too. Actually quite jumpy at times in this particular spot. Oh, look at you.
So you missed me so much that you just had to come dashing on back to me, which is no problem. We're going to watch this wonderful lion. Oh, look at that. Did you see that fly almost going into the crevice of his lips? And that didn't feel too good. They're still harassing him. There we go. Look at that one trying to get the moisture from the eye of that male lion. So this is obviously one of the Birminghams, and I'm so excited to see one of them during the day now. And I can't wait to get an opportunity to... Oh, I'm being attacked by the flies. Sorry, everybody. I can't wait for him to get up and have a look at his size, because I believe that these boys are impressive lions. That's all I used to hear about down in the southern sector of the Sabi Sands. The Birminghams. So I'm very, very excited. Look at those big paws. Good afternoon, Tajinder. Tajinder wants to know, how many lions do we have in the park, and are their numbers increasing or decreasing? Now, Tajinder, I'm not exactly sure as to how many lions we have in this area, but unfortunately, the lion populations are decreasing. I'm going to give you a very sad statistic. So there are actually more lions in captivity in the world than there are in Africa. How sad is that? That there are in Africa, sorry, that are in the wild. I think that is a really horrendous thing. Now, I'm not even going to give you an estimate on how many lions I think, because I'm really not sure. I'm going to have to do a bit of research. But remember, we are on 8.5 million acres of land. So yes, there is a fence, but all around, only one big fence on the outskirts of that massive piece of land. So lions can come in from the Kruger National Park, they can come from the Timbavati, they can come from the southern sector of the Sabi Sands and come up north, or lions up north can go down south. So it's quite difficult to keep track of the amount of lions. But there is a project called Panthera, which dedicates their sort of research to predators, and then particularly the cats, the lions and the leopards, which are the most famous animals in the Sabi Sands. So we've got many different family groups. However, like I said again, I'm not 100% certain as to how many lions are in this area. I know not so long ago, probably about 3 weeks ago, they were actually doing game counts, little annual game counts. They were out in helicopters, they were out in vehicles, trying to get an idea as to how many animals are around. So hopefully, when that census comes out, I'll be able to give you a bit more of an accurate sort of estimate as to how many animals we've got. I'm going to reposition. I'm going to go towards those female lions, because I think we've had a nice view of this male lion now, and I think his next move is to get up and actually move to the lovely shaded spot that the females have got. So let's quickly just loop around. I'm going to go back the way we came. Go, Rusty, reverse. There we go. Struggling to get him into gear. Oh, my mom would be so impressed with my driving without even any mirrors. Oh, don't mind us. Right, let's turn. Hello, ladies. Oh, sweet, look at that. Isn't that lovely? I'm going to go in and have a look. Look at that one with its paw. It's quite difficult because they are sitting in the shade. But these are the two of the female lionesses. Very quickly just going to call this in on the radio, just to let them know. Actually, let me ask Jamie how many lions she has. Jamie Taylor, just to get an idea of what's actually happening here. Jamie, how many of the Nkuhumas do you have? How many Mafazi Ngonyam do you have? Copy, thank you. So I just wanted to double check because I haven't been able to really have a chat with Jamie, and she says that she has got 3 of the Nkuhuma females, and I think she may have all the little ones as well. So we've just got obviously the other 2 who are down in the distance. But I don't think they're too far away. Probably maybe about 1 kilometer away from each other. So very easy for them to find each other, in case some of you are maybe worried that they won't be able to locate each other at night or during the day. They all can travel quite a distance. But I think it's quite sweet that they are lying like that, all over each other. It just shows you how wonderful the bond is between the different members of a pride. Look at that. Look at the padding. Can we go in and have a look at the pads of the lions? Look at that. How incredible that is. Can you see that? It's almost like sandpaper to the touch. It's very rough, especially for these females that are older, that have got well-worn pads. Sometimes you can actually see little cuts and things that are quite nice because it comes out in their tracks, which makes it so interesting. But I think a lion paw print, and even just looking at the pad like that, is quite beautiful. That would make quite a nice screen capture over there. So when you're looking at a lion's paw print, you don't see the little pad that's above, further up on the leg. You just see the 4 toes and then the lobes. I don't know if you can count, 1, 2, 3, and that's what you see when the lions walk and leave their wonderful mark on the ground. Let's hope that this wind calms down a little. Though actually, I think these lions may be slightly happy that there is a bit of wind, because I think if there wasn't any wind at all, there'd be a lot of insects covering them. I think they're quite enjoying that. They've got a nice shaded spot. And if you go over to the male, you're going to see there, and you see there, it's not too far away, only about 30 meters or so. And he's got lots of sun on him. So that's why I think he's going to get up from there, and his next move is to go and harass the females, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of action too. Isn't that lovely? I wonder where the rest of the Birmingham boys are. I had a question yesterday afternoon as to how many male lions I've seen in a coalition, and it's only 2. So I'm very, very, very excited to see these 4 beautiful boys together. And I wonder when they were last seen together. It's not uncommon for such a large coalition like this to sort of separate. Tasha would like to know if this beautiful male lion that we're looking at is mating with these 2 females at the same time. Now, Tasha, it's unlikely that both of these females have come into estrus at exactly the same time, and then I think if that was also the case, I think maybe there would have been another male lion here. Normally what happens is one male will focus his attention on one female that's in estrus, and they'll mate for about 3 or 4 days. Every single day it starts off mating every 10 minutes, and as it carries on it will go to every 20 minutes, every 30 minutes, every 40 minutes, every hour, until they eventually stop mating and move on. And then the male will carry on again. He'll move on to the next girl that comes into estrus, so there's no rest for him. He's always very, very busy. But I don't think that these 2 are in estrus, and also they've got young cubs. I'm not exactly sure just yet as to which females are the ones that have all the cubs, if all of them actually have cubs. So if you've got some insight information for me, please can you let me know. I'd really appreciate it. Sometimes I like to rely on the viewers. Some of you have been watching these animals for 6-7 years, which is absolutely incredible. It's longer than I've ever been in the bush doing this as a profession. So if you know which females or how many females have cubs and who's the youngest, who's the oldest, obviously Amber Eyes is very easy to tell the difference between the rest of the lionesses because of her beautiful eyes. But I'd really like to hear from you, so you can either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email us at questions@wildearth.tv. So some of you regular viewers who know quite a bit about what's going on, please let me know about the lions. And I've got my notebook with me this afternoon, so I will be taking lots of notes if anybody's got anything. But I think while we watch these wonderful lions sleep, my favorite thing in the world to do, no sarcasm there, let's head over to Jamie and see how she's doing.
My favorite thing in the world to do is to sit and watch lion cubs and not be able to share it with you. That, of course, is not my favorite thing to do. I'm struggling. Obviously, we did have them, and we went completely back screen where we were, so I'm going to try one more time to get around. Remember, if you cast your mind back to that lion hunt and the fact that we were on Wendy and we kept going black screen at these crucial moments, particularly one nerve-wracking moment when the buffalo was actually running towards the vehicle. So it is a notoriously bad Wendy signal patch. If I don't have any success going in here, then I promise you I'll tell Tayla exactly where she can go. Rusty is usually a little bit better than Wendy in terms of signal, so she might have a little bit of better luck. Shall we try this? And what I'm thinking is, we approached from the northern side. There's quite a steep ridge between us and where our repeater sits. Obviously we've got the antenna that sticks up at the back of the vehicle. I'm hoping that with a slightly lower angle we might have a little bit more in the way of fortune. So let's give it a go. What I did do was go past the buffalo kill that we were speaking about earlier. All that's left is a couple of bones and a surprising amount of the skin. In fact, almost all of the skin still remains. It's just been dragged a little bit away from where it was originally by the hyenas. But that whole carcass, or the whole skeleton, still seems to be there. It might be worth, not when the lions are here of course, but it might be worth scavenging some content for the tent as well. Okay, everybody hold on to your hats. We'll stay.
So we have still got those wonderful lions, And I'm very envious that everybody's had an opportunity to draw things over the last few days. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing just now. I'm just finishing my masterpiece. Remember, I said to you that I am still working. I am still working on my notes. And here I have my notebook just to prove, in case any of you think there's my line. That's that male line that we were looking at just now. Don't you think it's wonderful? Got little whiskers. Oh, I still need to add some detail. It's a work in process. So I'm really waiting for some comments. Please let me know if you've got any more information that I can add to my wonderful notebook about the kahumas. I've even got a page on leopards. Let me show you my page on the leopards. Look how long it is. It's getting really long now. So I've got lots and lots more, lot more pages that I need to fill in this book of mine. So I'm always wanting to learn, and obviously the most important thing about being out here is actually learning the different individual characters that we get to see every single day. And like I said, the lions and the leopards of the Sabi Sands are the most famous animals in the world. So I don't know too much about the northern Sabi Sands lions or leopards. So I'm going to need, and I'm going to rely on some of you viewers, like I said just now. I need your help. I'm asking for your help. I'm begging for your help. So please send me some information. But we've still got the cuddling lions, as you can see. Hello, cuddling lions. Not doing too much. What are you guys up to? No, still just sleeping. Oh, she took her arm off. Okay, no more cuddles for you. I can't imagine cuddling in this heat with all of that fur though. That must be on the warm side. But they're just relaxing quite nicely. And I love the fact that they're not bothered by us at all, that they can just carry on with their day, and they're probably listening to the sound of my voice going, oh my goodness, I wish she would just keep quiet. We're just trying to have an afternoon siesta, and all she's doing is rattling on a whole lot of nonsense. And you know what? It's probably not even true. They probably sit and laugh at us and say, how can they say that about this? I've never done that before. I did it once, but most of the time I do something else. It's my favorite line. Animals don't read the same books as we write about them. Oh, I must share something with you. This is completely irrelevant. I saw something so exciting this morning, and I couldn't believe it, that I managed to see some dwarf mongoose that were mating. And I was so excited. I really cannot tell you. I've never seen anything like it before. And I asked a few of the others, and they said they'd never seen something. It didn't last for long, though. But it was quite interesting. So I saw something new today. It's only taken me 5 years to see mating dwarf mongoose. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze in about 2 seconds. I know if I try and carry on, it's coming. No, it's gone. Okay, it was a row. It was coming. No, it's building up. It's going to be a monster of a sneeze. No, okay. It's officially gone. Sorry, it was just a tickle then. But I thought that is just so amazing. And it's just a reminder that you can do something like what I'm doing every single day, 365 days a year, and you can still see brand new things in the bush. And that's what makes my job so exciting. And to be able to share it with all of you is absolutely fantastic. Remember, if you ever get a chance to come to South Africa or go on safari, you'll just absolutely love it. If you love the show, imagine what it would feel like. I can't even describe what I'm feeling, being able to sit with wild lions every single day. How amazing is that? To see giraffe, to see buffalo, to see leopard, to see all these amazing creatures, even seeing the hornbills eating the termites. It's phenomenal. That's what it is. I've got the best job in the world. So I hope you are all green with envy. But I also hope that one day I get the privilege of meeting you all and actually maybe even taking you on a safari. How wonderful would that be? But this is lovely. We're going to carry on watching these lions sleep. And they'll sleep for quite a long time too. And it's not because they're lazy. So Haley wants to know if lions have a good memory, if they remember things, and if they'll remember that they got that buffalo and where perhaps it's where it went or where they left it. I think yes, I think to an extent they do remember. I'm sure they could not forget that they were latched onto a buffalo earlier today. However, I'm not sure if they'll remember exactly where they left it, because I think what happened is that those buffalo came through, perhaps they maybe had a drink around here, or they were just passing through this area, and the lions managed to grab one, and I think the big breeding herd of buffalo came through, and the combination of bucking and bronking from the poor buffalo bull, and then the breeding herd actually chased them off, and they managed to get away. And I think those buffalo are going to keep moving off, and I didn't see the rest of the breeding herd. So now I'm a bit concerned about that other buffalo. But I think the buffalo may have a few things in its favor, because the rest of the lions are north of where these lions are, and the buffalo is south of where these lions are. There isn't really too much water around. I think the next watering hole is possibly Red Dam, that's south of where we are at the moment. The closest watering hole is obviously Djuma Pan. So I don't know if those lions are going to go for that buffalo again. Maybe they're just going to go back and actually regroup with the rest of the pride, or if that other pride comes down here, the rest of the Nkuhumas with the little ones come down this way. Maybe they have a drink and then they continue further south, and then maybe they stumble into that buffalo that's injured. Ah, Jamie's looking for me. Let me say hello to Jamie. Standing by, Jamie. Firm, you're welcome to make your approach. We are just east of Djuma Pan. You can't progress from the Kayas. I'm not sure what that Ndlela is called. They're just off the Ndlela that runs straight from the Pan and goes in an easterly direction. Sorry everybody, we're just chatting and just double checking. I think Jamie and I are going to swap sightings. Nyala Road. Great, this is fantastic news. Copy, thank you. So what I think Jamie and I are going to do is I think we're actually going to swap around a little bit and see if I've maybe got a little bit of better signal. So I think we're going to leave these sleepy lions and we're going to start making our way towards where the rest of the Nkuhumas are, and hopefully get to see some little cubs. But I believe we've got to do quite a bit of off-roading to get there. We're a little bit of a distance away. Just putting my trusty notebook down and my pen so I don't lose it. But sleepy lions, maybe we'll follow up on you a little bit later. Let's go see where the rest of the Nkuhumas are. Right, I think we're going to go this way. We're going to see where I end up. So while I try and navigate the Djuma Game Reserve, we're going to head over to Jamie, where she knows her way around the property a little bit better. I'll catch up with you all a bit later.
I'm relatively certain, I'm relatively confident at this point that I know my way around the property. You never know though, strange things have happened. I do occasionally, every now and again, slightly lose my way on Arethusa, although at least I haven't accidentally strayed across any boundaries. So, unfortunately, it didn't work out the way I had planned. So whilst we had the lions, we didn't have any signal, and so we weren't able to show them to you. But I was really desperate to get Tayla into that sighting, just because it's such a perfect spot that they have. All out in the open, beautiful drainage line sand, all 8 cubs moving about with mum, a little bit energetic because they don't have bellies that were as full as they were yesterday. I think it's a really nice sighting for her to head to and spend a little bit of time there. So let's see if she manages to find it. It's a bit of a tricky spot, so I wish her the best of luck, and I wish her the best of luck with signal as well. I'm not racing back to the lions that Tayla had. I'm taking a slight meander around. I know that the Queen of Djuma, Karula, the female leopard, was around yesterday on the sunset safari, and I thought I'd just keep an eye out for her tracks, perhaps try and figure out where she's gone, and maybe spot some elephants along the way. And since we're just driving and all of the animals have decided to go into hiding, I have an answer for a question that I got asked yesterday. And James Richard, I do hope that you're watching, because I went and looked it up after you asked me, and James yesterday, while I was in the tent, asked me how far the house martin goes in South Africa. And I wasn't able to, in my opinion, give an adequate answer. I said that they went all the way up to Johannesburg and probably further south, but I wasn't sure exactly how much further south. So I did just go home and double check, and the house martin extends, their range extends all the way down to Cape Town. They are a seasonal migrant, so we haven't started seeing them yet. It's part of the, or very similar to a swallow or a swift in terms of shape, those sort of little birds that are built for speed and agility. Just for those of you wondering what a house martin is, it's a bird. And they extend all the way sort of along the coast, Drakensberg, right down to the tip of Cape Town. So there you have it. That's how far down the common house martin goes in South Africa. And since there are no animals on Inyala Road South that I can see, I'll show you a picture of a martin. Right, now here's a, oh no, it's a different bird book. I was going to test myself and see if I could remember exactly what page it was on. But I can't do that because it's a different bird book I'm using. Between Brent and myself, we have a couple. I'll just leave it at that. Right, how does the alphabet work? Martin, common house, 362. So there we go. We are looking at this little bird here. See what I mean? It sort of very much looks like it's part of the swallow family, and that because it is essentially. It is still a martin. But you can see with those angular, sort of sharp bending wings and the forked tail, so that is the common house martin. And if we have a look at the distribution map, which is over here, in red, you will see it extends all the way down to Cape Town. So oh goodness, this is very small. Do I have a small stick? Let's see if I have a small stick so I can show you where we are. Dave has found a small cable tie. That'll do. Thank you, Dave. We are here-ish, the bottomish corner of, or the bottomish corner of the cable tie, the top corner of South Africa, and it extends all the way down along Drakensberg, a bit of the Free State area, and then into Cape Town. It's actually most of South Africa. It's just the Northern Cape it misses. And there, as you can see, quite a lot of Africa as well. Here we go. So, the common house martin, in answer to a question that I couldn't properly answer yesterday, for which I do apologize, but that's the wonder of Safari Live, is that with your viewer, the questions that you guys send through, we learn at the same time. And that is half the fun of being a guide. I know I heard elephants somewhere around here just before we went on drive, so we'll look for them as well. Speaking of questions I don't know the answer to, Debbie in Vancouver's just asked a very good one. What does bundu mean? And what language does it come from? We talk about bundu bashing. I mean, it's basically the bush. The bundu is the bush. But I don't know what language it is. Anybody else have any? Do you know, Dave? No, I don't have a clue. Bundu bashing is to go, when you go bundu bashing, and you go off into the bush, into the wilderness, and usually off-road. That's bundu bashing. As for where the word bundu comes from, I would guess and say Zulu. You can sometimes hear with the vowels and the combination of vowels which of the African languages a word comes from, but it's not always that easy. Because of course there is a degree of similarity between several of them, and they fall into 4 major groups. So things like Zulu and Xhosa will have a lot of similarities, and then the Shangaan languages, and then the Sotho and Tswana, they all have sort of generally the same roots. Bundu, I might even go so far as to say it's a word that's been mangled ever so slightly or mistranslated ever so slightly. And the famous story, of course, of the sort of the colonial forces that came into South Africa and most of Africa had a tendency to get things terribly wrong. And one of the perfect examples is Punda Maria. Now, Punda Maria was named by one of the British generals. I can't remember which one it was, and he wanted to go with the word for zebra, which is Pundu Malia, but he got it wrong, and he said Pundu Maria. And some say it was because his wife was called Maria, so he wanted to call it Striped Maria rather than zebra. Unfortunately, the translation ultimately means Maria the donkey. So not terribly flattering for his poor wife, and a perfect example of occasionally how languages get mangled and mistranslated. It is, of course, one of James's concerns, something that we hear a lot of on the Game Drive channel. And I know enough to know that I don't know enough to try and get too complex when I'm talking on the Game Drive channel. I can understand to a basic degree, but I definitely know that I can't speak it, so I try and avoid speaking Shangaan or anything like that over the Game Drive channel. James, of course, who is a genius, is perfectly fluent in it. As for where Bundu comes from, well, I think it's Zulu. It sounds like it might be Zulu, but I honestly don't know, Debbie. Sorry. I'll have to go. It'll be my next project, my homework that I'm given after every drive. Go and find the answers to questions I don't know the answer to. Come on, animals, where are you all hiding? One thing I must say, and I don't know if it's the presence of the lions, or if it's the drought, or if it's the wind, but over the last few days I've noticed a drop in general game sightings. It just feels unbelievably quiet out here. Even the birds are hiding away this afternoon. I think it's because of the wind. And on the subject of our birds, Tasha, you want to know on the subject of the heat and the fact that it makes the lions want to go and rest in the shade of the tree, does it make the birds want to do the same thing? At a certain point, yes. And what actually happens, believe it or not, because birds, the amount of muscle activity that they do, that flying requires, the amount of metabolic activity, they actually can overheat quite quickly. And they've got cooling mechanisms in the form of air sacs in their lungs, which also helps obviously with extra oxygen supply. And at the same time they pant to cool themselves down, and then often will go and dip into water. But believe it or not, they will actually start, certain birds, I see it with hornbills and starlings occasionally, will actually die when it gets too hot. They just aren't able to cool themselves down enough. And I'll finish your question now. Give me one moment. Sorry, Tasha. Standing by, Tayla. That's affirmative. Go all the way north, almost to the junction, and just before the road curves upwards, you'll see my tracks going to the northwest, into the drainage itself. Copy. Taylor and I have just missed each other. Oh dear, I'm sorry. As soon as I spoke, I'm now in demand. Standing by yours? That's a name that will be familiar to some of our regular viewers. I'm very well, yours, and yourself? Sorry. Yours, I am live. I can give you a quick update though. Hlami Ngala, 3 Mafazis and 8 Mapimpans off Nyala Road North. It's quite a tricky spot, but they're nice and in the open in the drainage. And 2 Mafazis, 1 Madora, just to the east of Weyatela Dam. Copy that, no problem, yours. I've swapped with Tayla, who is one of our new guides. She's making her way to that lock now. No problem. Sorry. I just had to give yours some directions. Yours, of course, is a name that's familiar to many of you. He takes the most gorgeous pictures of some of our most beloved leopard characters. And we've shared a few amazing sightings with yours. Right, back to the question of the birds. The reason we're not seeing as many now, I think, Tasha, is less to do with the heat. Because this isn't too bad. This is manageable. Pretty manageable. 30 degrees, it's not so bad for us. I think it's the wind. I think the blowing off course, not that many of them are flying around. Although I have to say, I also think that the drought is playing a role. And those of them that can are moving to areas that perhaps have had slightly more rain. And I just heard one now. Aha. Here you are. Ah. Fine, I'll look at that one then. Now, while we look at our starlings, since it's the first bird I have seen on our sunset safari, apart from the vultures, of course, our lovely Birchall starling, we have an update. Final Control has been doing some research. I'm not going to claim any sudden knowledge. Bundu comes from a Shona word, so the Shona language, that means grassland. So there you go. Not quite bush, but grassland. There's definitely a difference between bush and grassland. We don't see much in the way of grassland at all. We don't see much grass at all at the moment. So grassland, nice vast open plains. A little bit of it on Cheetah Plains, but otherwise we're more in bushveld proper. That was a beautiful Birchall starling, by the way. Okie dokie. Right. Tayla was wondering whether or not I know my way around the reserve. I know I do. Let's go and see whether or not she's managed the search for those lions yet.
Oh, I do enjoy the banter that we have amongst the different guides at Safari Live. It's always fun. No, Jamie, I'm going to be honest, I still don't know my way around. I'm still learning. I'm relying on some maps. But however, I am on the correct road now. Now, what we're doing is we are looking for Jamie's off-road track that will guide us in towards the lions. So she's told me I need to carry on going a little bit further north of where we are. So I'm just taking it easy though, because I think I'm getting quite close to an intersection, and I know I need to keep looking out for her tracks. It's only one set of tire tracks too, so it wouldn't really have made much impact on the ground. But that's what we're doing. And I know that the lions are apparently down in a drainage, so we're taking it easy. Basically, that's what we're doing. Just check here, no tracks. But I have no doubt that Jamie is going to relocate on the other lines when the volume of the game drive comes down. Right, another drainage. Whip, a little bit of a bumpy bump. Right. And this wind is not helping either. This wind is just getting worse and worse, which is very frustrating. Because I think I see Jamie. I've got Jamie's tracks. Right. Now, we need to go through here. This is where we're going. Driving around. So we're looking for lions, everybody, if you've just tuned into the show. And we are currently live at the moment as well. So if you'd like to ask any questions, you're welcome to send them in to Twitter by just adding the hashtag Safari Live, or you can email us at questions@wildearth.tv. Please excuse me while I don't look at all of you wonderful people. I'm just going to move through here. Oh, be careful of this tree, Xander. This is a nasty one on the right. It's got some thorns. They will bite you. I've been bitten. That's, I think, the tree's favorite thing to do to me, is if you ever get an opportunity and I jump out the vehicle, look at my ankles, because they are covered in big scratches from where the buffalo thorn and the knob thorns have bitten me. Wait, what's happened here? They're in here. Can you see them? Okay, how are we going to do this? We go forward again. Zoop! Up half on a termite mound. My goodness, it's really hard to see them here. I don't know. Let's have a little see. I don't know. Can you see anything with the camera? They are hidden away. And I'm wondering if we actually cannot find a better access point, which I will try and do at some point. At the moment, if you look very carefully, those log-like objects are actually some more sleeping lions. Oh, there we go. We got one of the little cubs. Looks like having a little suckle. Hello. Yes, wake up. What we're going to do now, everybody, is I'm going to try and find a better way for us to view these wonderful little lions and their overload of cuteness. We're going to shoot back on to Jamie and see how the rest of the Nkuhumas and the Birmingham male is doing.
I hope they're fine. I hope they are alive and well. I'm sure they are. They're lying off in the shade somewhere. But much like my Karula hippo mix-up, we're not with lions at the moment. My Karula hippo mix-up happened yesterday on the Sunset Safari. It was hilarious for those of you who missed it. And we're not quite with the lions yet, partly because I can't drive over the damn wall until the guests have gone out on their safari. But we have arrived with a lovely herd of zebra that have decided to actually stop their rapid movement into the thick vegetation, which was what they were doing initially. I'm hoping if we just keep a little bit of distance, they're not going to go running off. So although we've got an obscured view for now, I think if I shift around any further, they're probably going to move away from us. I'm really sorry, I don't know where my voice is going. Shame, they are being seriously plagued at the moment. We're seeing a lot of them pull these funny faces and stomp and move about and just look generally uncomfortable. I recently found out that that's because they have fly larvae, not fly larvae, bot fly larvae up their nostrils. So what happens is the bot flies particularly target the nostrils of zebra, and they move up into the nostrils and they lay their eggs there. And then obviously when those hatch and when they've got the larvae in there chewing on the sensitive tissue of the sinuses, it makes the zebra incredibly uncomfortable. Now they all are infected in that way generally, and it's not too serious a problem, but it does create those strange facial expressions that we see them pull every now and again. They sort of head shake and that uncomfortable lip when they move their upper lip and scrunch up their nostrils. And that's because of the fly larvae moving about in there. Those poor things. Imagine how uncomfortable that is. Ugh, it's the stuff of nightmares, actually. But for them, it is just the way of things and the only way they've ever known it. Isn't this zebra beautiful? Not that they aren't all. But this one is particularly striking. Perhaps it's Dave's amazing camera work. And perhaps it is the beautiful light. Look at that. That's stunning. They're definitely one of the most photogenic animals in the bush. Leopards, zebra, lion cubs. Yeah, those are our photogenic 3. Let's try a photogenic 5. Zebra, leopard, cheetah, and Darlene in New Hampshire, it's lovely to have you on board with us, as it always is. You want to see whether we're seeing... Oh, there's that head shake again, and head bob. You want to know whether we're seeing any changes in the animals as a result of the drought. Snorting, trying to get rid of that uncomfortable feeling in their nostrils. And the example you gave was the drooping manes on zebra, which is of course the first indication that a zebra is not in good health. For newer viewers, zebra always look round and healthy and very robust, and that's because their digestive processes produce huge amounts of gas, and as a result it basically expands them like a filled up balloon, which occasionally expels air at a very rapid pace when they trot away. And the only sign that you will ever see of an unhealthy zebra is when the mane starts to drape, the mane starts to droop. Now apparently Brent saw one droopy maned zebra. I haven't seen any yet. They actually seem to be faring relatively well for now. The Nyala look terribly skinny, and I'm sure you... Hello, boy. Oh, well spotted, Davy. You are full of nonsense. I can just see it. Stay where you are. Okay, I'm going to try driving around just to get out of his way. Beautiful big boy. There we go. So we're just blocking his path ever so slightly. Well spotted, Davy. I mean, you know, not that it's not a massive elephant. Jamie wants to go on his way to drink. Yes, keep walking, mister. Oh, he's beautiful. What a magnificent elephant bull. And I bet you he's been the one causing all the nonsense with the ladies. Aren't you, mister? Let's go follow him. He is just too beautiful. And he's going on his way for a drink. Oh, beautiful, beautiful boy. Sneaky too, huh? Wondered what happened with Dave there. There's a sudden frantic change in direction. I was so busy listening to the zebra, not even hear him coming up behind us. Okie dokie, he's going to make his way towards the dam, which is relatively unfortunate in that I'm not really meant to drive over the dam wall until the guests have gone out on their safari. What time is it? Is it nearly time for safari? Will they be on the vehicles? Hopefully. Rexon or Aubrey for Jamie? Oh, he's beautiful. I want to stay with him. Sorry, Impalala. Off you go. They must be getting on the vehicles by now, unless they're celebrating the recent engagement of two guests. And a very well done to Tayla. While I figure out whether or not I can creep across the dam wall, Tayla has done a marvelous job of following up on those lions. Let's go and see if she has signal so that she can show them to you.
Look at this female lion. So this is one of the Nkahumas, and you can see how she's staring up into the sky. She's actually looking at some vultures quite high up. Excuse me. That sneeze has been building up for about 20 minutes. It seemed to have got the attention of the lions as well. I'm so sorry, lions. But they look like they're waking up, which is perfect. Oh my goodness, I got another sneeze coming on. I apologize, everybody. My goodness. So embarrassing. Whew. Okay, I feel much better now. Look at that. Look at that lion is not happy with me. Oh, that's hysterical. Very, very upset that I dare sneeze. Oh my goodness. A third one. You can all stop saying bless you now, because it may carry on for a little bit longer. My goodness. I have the worst time with sneezing. Often people enjoy sneezing. I don't. But enough about me. Look at these wonderful lions. I'm so glad that they've decided to put their heads up. So thank you, vultures, for flying overhead and getting the lions to stare up into the distance. We've got two females that are sitting up. You can see the one just there on the left. And the little ones slow. They were sort of up, putting their heads up, not happy when I was sneezing. Some of them are suckling. There's the one, the grumpy one at the back. There's one approaching Mom. Come over, come and say hello. And I just love their eyes. Their eyes are just so beautiful. What wonderful ladies. And I'm so happy that we've managed to keep signal too. We are in a serious drainage line, right in the dip. We've got a few people asking about the lion sighting. And I don't blame them, because this is quite special to be able to sit here with so many lions and view them. And they're much more behaved than the ones we were looking at earlier with that had their heads flat down onto the ground. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? That's going to make for an amazing photo. I'm very quickly going to take a snap. Hopefully she looks up towards the sky again. The vultures are circling, and that's quite typical. I think it's going to be very difficult for you to see them at the angle. However, maybe they think that these lions had something hidden in this drainage line, but not lucky for the vultures this afternoon. Here we go, all the little ones waking up now. Hello! Oh no, just want to come and sit closer. Oh, look at that love. Time to bite you. And Mom's not interested at all. That clicking that you're hearing, that's me taking a few little shots. Please feel free to take your own screenshots as well. This is quite special to see this. Hello, Diana Rose. Diana wants to know, at what temperature will the animals become more active? Typically the cooler temperatures, when it's quite hot like it is now, though this breeze that I've been talking about is quite cool, which is quite nice. The temperature probably dropped, now that we're in this drainage line, a few degrees Celsius, which is great. So I think a great temperature for the cats, let's talk about the cats here, around 20 degrees Celsius, they would be so happy with that. It is not too hot, but it's also not too cold. Anything sort of hotter than 25 degrees Celsius, the animals are really going to rest. Even things like zebra, buffalo, rhinos, elephant, they'll all try and find a little bit of shade, or if there's enough water around. Obviously things like the buffalo, the rhinos and the elephants and the hippos are obviously going to want to stay in some water and keep cool. So the cooler the better, but if you have a cool day you don't really want a lot of wind. But I've also noticed, this is something quite interesting, so I've noticed in the Sabi Sands that the leopards tend to prefer the warmer weather. I find that they seem to be a little bit more active when it's hotter. When a freezing cold spell comes on, or look at that yawn, they tend to disappear and maybe hide away. But that's just my opinion from what I've noticed. Oh, I've just got a wonderful whiff of lion flatulent, which is not that nice. Unfortunately, I'm breathing it straight in. Look at those two at the back right there. They're cuddling each other and wrestling each other. So remember, this female is looking up at a few vultures that are catching thermals. They are so high in the sky, I don't think I could even show them to you. Maybe the one on the right, on the left, sorry. I don't think you can see any of them. I think there's too much of a glare, and they are so high that I don't think you're going to get a good view of them at all. But it's quite nice that these lions have decided to wake up for us and give us a little bit of a show. What I do need to do, I really need to reposition this vehicle. We've got another ranger that's coming into the sighting, and I'm hogging the best view. And I think if I go out and let this ranger come in, because we don't have signal when I go too far into the drainage line, we will both be able to have a really amazing view. So if you can just excuse me for just a few seconds, just want to try and reorganize myself here. Let's head back to
Alrighty, Alrighty, well at least Tayla does have a little bit of signal in that drainage line. We are racing all the way around to catch up with that beautiful bull elephant that decided to sneak up behind us. I think he thought that was a wonderful game. Try and sneak up behind the vehicle, see when they spot him. But he was also wanting to get through to the water, and he obviously wanted to go straight where we were going, where we were parked. Now, never mind the fact that there were plenty of other paths around him. He's a big bull, and he is most definitely the undisputed king of the bush. I was not going to argue with him. However, I do want to catch up with him around Djuma Dam. I'm sure he's having a drink right now, and I'm hoping he's not going to go too far. Oh my word! Very gusty weather. Sure. On days like today, I know Tayla was talking about the injured buffalo. On days like today, it's important to be careful with animals like elephants. They sometimes are a bit more uneasy than they are on a normal day, on a non-breezy day. Especially if it's quite a hot day, they haven't had a chance to really cool down, they've been struggling for food, walking long distances for water. It has a tendency to put them in a little bit of an unpleasant mood. Now that gentleman wasn't, although he did give us that slight ear out, head up posture, that amazing body position that elephants adopt where they look down their nose at you and make it clear in no uncertain terms that they would much prefer it if you weren't in their way. Just fair enough, I suppose. If I was 6 tons, I might do the same thing. We should catch up with him relatively shortly. It also gives me a chance to figure out where these lines are, because I actually don't really have a clue. Which will teach me to banter at Tayla. Now he's a particularly magnificent elephant bull. I haven't seen one that large in a while. Hein, welcome to the Sunset Safari. Let's stop for this lovely kudu. He's going to go in front. Oh, no, he's not going to go in front of us. Boy. Hein, can I put your question on hold for one moment? I'm just going to try and get another view of these kudu. And then I'm hoping as we come round the corner, we'll have a good opportunity to actually answer Hein's question about dominant males in elephant herds. We can go into a little bit more depth. I just want to try and catch up with these kudu, get us a nice clear view. Hello, boy. And girls. Oh, right into the sun. Hello, beautiful. Aren't you lovely? Young male kudu. His horns haven't started quite reaching their full potential yet, though they're getting there, and his neck is not nearly as muscular as a fully grown kudu bull. But he is beautiful enough, isn't he? In fact, those horns are almost nyala-shaped. They are exactly nyala-shaped. In fact, it looks like somebody took a pair of nyala horns and popped it on top of a kudu's head. That's incredible. They are, of course, a part of the same antelope tribe, so they are related to each other. They are beautiful, beautiful antelope. Sorry, somebody is trying to call me again. Andrew, go ahead. Andrew, I haven't got there yet. I've had to go round. There's still mlungus at Tayla, so I couldn't drive across the dam wall. I'm not sure, Andrew. I wasn't at that sighting. I heard audio of them from Inge's house this afternoon, but I'm not sure exactly where they are. They're such graceful creatures, with their cohort of oxpeckers accompanying them, and several flies as well, as you may have noticed. And that graceful high step that they have. Our kudu tracks register In other words, the back foot falls exactly where the front foot was. And that is just exactly the same as a lion walking along the road, and it means that they can walk nice and quietly. Okay, the kudu are lovely, but I do want to catch up with that Ellie bull. So we'll get an idea of where the lions are, and we'll go bypass the kudu for now. Bye-bye. And if possible, we might even catch up with them a little bit later. Brent's hat really doesn't want to stay on my head, so I'm sorry for the arm on it. I've tried tightening it, I've tried everything, it just doesn't want to stay on my head. It's already blown off and nearly hit Dave once. Gone flying into the road. More slowly past the Wahlberg's nest, just in case our elephant has beaten us to it, since we know already that he likes to follow people. The Wahlbergs are there. I'll come back to them. I will come back to them. No, stay, hat. Of course, it's become much more disastrous when my hat goes flying off my head since we started putting the microphones in our hats. So it becomes much more of an issue. The microphone goes flying, the sound goes all funny. Ah, there he is. He's having a dust bath. Marvelous. And he's moved a little way away from the dam. Oh, lion. Lions. Awesome. They're fast asleep for now, and I think our gentleman elephant is going to disappear. Andrew, they're right out in the open on Twin Dams Road itself. Oh, beautiful boy. So, Hein, as we make our way to one very big, very dominant looking elephant bull, you wanted to know whether or not it's typical to have a dominant male in an elephant herd, and the answer is no. Oh, he's beautiful. Look at that silhouette, that is stunning. So, Hein, the answer is no. Elephants live in a breeding herd, and the breeding herd is matriarchal, so it's female-led. However, the males are dominant over the females. They just don't live with them. So a male elephant, when he reaches sexual maturity, will start to move out into the open. And speaking of which, we're going to go a little bit closer to our gentleman, since he is so beautiful and he seems most relaxed. I was just giving him a little bit of space to see what he wanted to do. Hello, boy. So that once they reach sexual maturity, an elephant bull will leave the safety of the herd. Very often when they're young, they form bachelor groups, but from that moment they essentially lead solitary existences. And they grow old in that way. Now, although an elephant herd is female-led, he's a little bit skittish. I wonder if he's not a big Kruger bull. More than us needing to be worried about him, he seems to be a little bit uncomfortable with us. And it's just a matter then of approaching this very, very slowly and carefully. Oh, beautiful. Been a long time since I've seen a bull this size. Yes, all male elephants are dominant over female elephants just in terms of their size. They are much, much larger. So when you do get an elephant bull associating with an elephant herd, they tend to get a little bit upset and uncomfortable, a little bit occasionally harassed almost, particularly if there's a female in estrus. So whilst the male elephant is dominant over the female, in that he's bigger and stronger, the herds themselves are female-led. The decisions are made by the females. Oh boy, you are so beautiful. The real old gentleman of the Kruger National Park. And he could well be 40 years old. Probably a little bit younger than that. But how awesome is this? Dust streaming across the top of his head. And Diana, in Ohio, on the subject of our massive elephant bull, you want to know how heavy an elephant bull can get. The largest specimens, and we don't get the largest elephants here in South Africa, I think the largest one, I was trying to remember what Brent told me. He told me where the largest one was found, and I think it was Tanzania. The largest one was close to 9-10 tons in weight, which is absolutely massive. Now we generally, our elephant bulls probably average out around 6 or so tons, 5 or 6 tons, which is plenty big in this area. Obviously, just like people, you get different genetic strains. That's why in certain parts of Europe, people on average are taller than, say, in other parts of the world. And the same goes for elephants and for lions. The genetics differ from country to country. Our elephant bulls are massive, but the record-breaking ones do not come from South Africa. I just have to show you something, and then I'm going to reposition to get to this elephant bull. Our zebra have no problems about having to go all the way round, and they've just popped out to my right over here. How awesome is that? Heard snorting. I wondered what that was. Hello, zebra. Okay, let's go catch up with our massive Ellie bull. The reason I drove past the lions is not because I don't want to see them. I'd love to see them, and we are going to go back to them. But it's not often that we get an opportunity to spend with a massive elephant bull like this, or it has been a while. And the lions are not going to be going anywhere. They're going to be sleeping for at least another hour or so. So we will go back to them, I promise, for those among you who are solid lion lovers and are disappointed that we're not there. We will come back. Oh, look at these tracks. Absolutely massive. You can see them walking along the road. Tell you what, I'll drive around some of them and we'll come back and we'll have a look at just how big his feet are. But he's about to push over a tree and I want to see if we can be there for it. Okay, I've dodged the track. Oh, where tree's going over. I've got to keep my revs a little bit low. As I said, he's not 100%. Oh, well, the tree's going though. Okay, boy. Let's stop here, my boy. Can I stop here? Just giving me that casual sideways glance that elephants do. I don't want to scare him. Look at that. It's effortless. He has just pushed over that entire bush willow to get at the roots beneath it, without it even seeming like a struggle. You can see how dry it is. And the sky is white. It really is. It's the brightest. I've never experienced weather like this. I think it's just because I've never experienced a drought like this. It is so unbelievably dry. So he's pushed over the bush willow to get to the root system, and he's now systematically picking and choosing which root he goes for. Look at that, and not all of them are treated the same way. He's obviously clearly looking for something specific. And that's years and years of experience and learning. He would have experienced a drought like this. In 1992, he would have been alive then. And they say elephants have incredible memories, and that seems to be borne out in fact as well. All the evidence seems to suggest that they do have incredible minds and incredible memories. And whenever I see an old gentleman of the bush like this, I always wonder about the things he could tell us if he could talk. What he's experienced throughout his life, where he was born, which part of Kruger he came from. If he came from Kruger at all, of course. Probably, though. If elephants could talk. Now, as of a couple of years ago, the elephant population of the Kruger National Park itself was sitting at around 12 or so thousand individuals. That was one of the last confirmed censuses. It's probably up to around 15,000 now. Now, Jan, you wanted to know if I could tell you roughly what the elephant population of Djuma is. It's so difficult because for an elephant, Djuma is like one bedroom of their house. In fact, not even the bedroom. It's like the walk-in closet of their house in terms of size. It's just one little tiny part of their massive home range. So to tell you exactly how many elephants there are on Djuma is very, very difficult. Sometimes we drive through and there's no elephants. They've all moved off our traverse area, and sometimes we come past and there's 200. Easily 200 wandering about, if not up to 300. So Jan, it's a little bit of a tricky, oh, this is so beautiful. It's a little bit of a tricky question to answer because we don't know exactly. It depends on day to day. If you think of the whole of the Kruger National, actually, let's do it this way. If you think of the whole of the Kruger National Park as being their house and garden, Djuma is actually not even a walk-in closet. It's basically like a tiny little corner of a tiny little room in the back somewhere. So there's lots and lots of elephants. No, like a bedside table. Djuma is roughly the equivalent of a bedside table, of a large. This, I must say, the simile isn't working out for me as well as I thought it would. But you get the general idea. In terms of the Sabi Sand itself, we're seeing an increase in elephant population, and that's because a lot of the western waterholes along the Kruger National Park boundary have been closed, which means that the nearest water for quite a few elephants is around the Sabi Sand, and that's why I suggested that this could well be a Kruger bull. Although I don't think so. I have this vague feeling I've seen this gentleman before. At some point in my last year of working for WildEarth and working on Djuma, I have a feeling I've encountered him. Isn't it amazing, by the way, that Tayla knows the same elephant bull that we do? The one with the hole in his ear that spent some time, put his trunk into Tara Piri's car and lifted Scott's up and gave Brent a run for his money as well. Now, they cover enormous distances. Tayla was working in the southern Sabi Sands, we're in the northern Sabi Sands. We're definitely seeing some really lovely elephant bulls, though. Oh, he's lovely. This is really, really beautiful. Elephant herds are wonderful to spend time with, but there is a different, it's similar, but there's a different emotion that one gets when you sit with a massive elephant bull like this. I don't quite know how to describe it. I think it's their tremendous sense of confidence. You know, the breeding herds are always constantly on alert, constantly looking after the little ones, whereas these old gentlemen ooze this self-assurance and this level of comfort in themselves and their surroundings that I think is actually unmatched. They know that they're the biggest things out here. Isn't it amazing to think that this massive animal managed to sneak up on us? He was so close when Dave first heard him. We had not the faintest clue that he was there. And they almost close their eyes in contentment as they devour whatever particular meal they've discovered. Look at his tusks. Really nice comparison there between the slave and the master tusk as it's described. In other words, this elephant is left and right. He's right-handed, sorry. Just like a human being, he uses his right tusk more than his left. The reason I know that is because look how much more worn down the tusk on the right is compared to that of the left. That doesn't mean that he doesn't use his left tusk at all. That's not what it means. It just means that he seems to favor one over the other. So just because you see one more worn down than the other doesn't mean you won't see the elephant using the one. Lovely set of tusks, and the right one is most definitely thicker as well than the one on the left, and covered in mud. I think he's been digging in mud. He's probably been having a wonderful time somewhere at one of the drying up water holes. Hey boy. And Paul has said this old boy seems very well behaved and that he's had a good upbringing. He is very well behaved, isn't he? There's not a malicious sense from him in one little bit. He didn't, even when he was looming over us earlier. The only reason I moved was because it felt clear that we were in his way, and I just wanted to shift us around and get us in a better position. But you're right. And I found that I think if I had to do a statistical analysis of the elephants that have given me a little bit of nonsense, certainly 80% or 90% of them would be males. And no, that's not true. Actually, let's say 80% of them would have been males, and most of them are young. The older bulls, with limited exceptions, and almost always you can usually deduce that they've been in some way badly treated or had a bad experience with a vehicle, and that's why they don't respond well to us. But I would say most of the older bulls that I encounter I think it stems from that sense of confidence that they have, that they're actually quite happy to just ignore you. It's one of the reasons why they can be one of the most wonderful creatures to walk on foot. And of course you don't take that for granted, and you do it exceptionally carefully. But they're often so secure in themselves that they don't see you as a major threat. If you get it right, it is a very, very special experience. Hey, beautiful boy. Lovely. I'm going to stick with him a little while. I can almost see the lions from where I am, so I'm going to keep an eye out on what they're doing, make sure they don't disappear. For now, though, Tayla is still with those lovely lions. Let's head back across to her.
So our wonderful little fluff balls are waking up again. They had a little bit of a siesta just now. I had a little break, but we are still with them. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to stay with them for too much longer. So I did want to just steal you away from Janie, just so you could have one more look at these lovely Nkahuma cubs. And they were all chasing each other's tails just now. Like, look at that one. I think bite, yes. Biting on Mom's tail. And Mom is not going to be very impressed with those sharp needle-like teeth. I think she's going to get quite upset. That one might get a foot in the face if it's not careful. Oh, look at that one. Heard something. Look, it looks like it's looking straight towards us. Isn't that amazing? It's a star. It wants to be a TV personnel. But you can't. Oh, well, I suppose you are. You're actually very famous. Look at them all sitting on top of each other, all cuddling. Isn't that just so beautiful? And it's so good that all these little cubs are still around and still together. As I'm sure, as you've seen over the years, for the viewers who have been watching us for a very, very long time, unfortunately, a lot of the cubs don't make it to adulthood. So every day is a new challenge for these little ones as they get older. But it's exciting to see that they're all still here, all 8 of them. I love the way those 3 have their heads lined up. 4 years old and you are watching us. What a fantastic question. So Tayla Ann has asked us, do their feet tickle? Do lions' feet tickle when the fly lands on them? I think when they land on the actual pad itself, I don't think they feel it very much. Remember, that foot is so hard and calloused for all the time. However, when the flies land on the hair, they do feel that. You'll see them twitching their bodies every now and then to try and get rid of a fly. You can see that one twitching their ear, with the hairs obviously wiggling around and causing some irritation to them. But they learn to live with these flies. Unfortunately, they don't have insect repellents and fly swatters. Oh, well, the only fly swatter they have is their tail. So they rely on that heavily. That's why I think when the little ones chew on Mom's tail, they don't appreciate it, because they haven't quite learnt yet how important a tail actually is. This one looks like it's got a piece of elephant dung. No, now it's licking its foot. Hello. Yes, groom away. It's quite interesting to see how they're not always relying on Mom to groom them anymore. They're actually well capable of cleaning themselves up. There's one of the older cubs at the back. Wow. Hello, lovely lion. See that? Being nice. Grooming itself. I love the way their little skin wrinkles above their nose when they groom themselves. So now the next interesting thing will be is, will the pride that we're looking at now join up with the other 2 Nkahuma females and the Birmingham, or will they get up and come this way? I'm sure they're going to have a drink at some point too. I'm sure those females must be thirsty after eating that lovely rotting buffalo carcass yesterday. So maybe they do make their way towards Duma Pan. So it's always good this evening, keep an eye out on the Duma cam to have a look, and maybe you get to see them all meeting up in the evening. Oh, I'm just going to stretch and roll. So everybody, I think we're going to have to say goodbye to these Nkahuma cubs. I know that there are some other rangers that are absolutely desperate to come and see them, and I'd hate to keep this sighting all to ourselves as much as that I'd love to. I think it's only fair to give everybody else a chance. Some people have travelled far and wide to come and visit the Nkahuma Pride. And obviously I want them to have such a great experience that they keep coming back to wonderful Africa. You know, scratching, having a little scratch. So grab your last screenshots as we have a little, oh, what are you going to do? You're going to get up? Are you going to sit on top of somebody else? Huh? Well, no. Normally they like to plonk on top of each other. I think we're going to have to say goodbye, everybody, to the Nkahumas for this evening, but I hope you enjoyed that. That was really wonderful. Let's head on back to Jamie. I think it's quite exciting what's going to develop between that big elephant bull and the rest of the Nkahuma females and the Birmingham male.
I am definitely on my way back to that elephant bull. I actually want to try and get around him way 18 clearings. I thought I'd stop and just show you our beautiful Wahlberg's eagle pair. They are absolutely lovely and too beautiful to drive past without stopping and giving them the appreciation that they deserve. The mating pair, if I had to guess, I think the female on the left, the right, sorry, and the male on the left. Only reason I say that is because female birds of prey are generally a little bit larger than the males. Beautiful, beautiful birds. And the wonderful thing, of course, about these live safaris is that we get to sit and watch them pretty much every day if we want to. If we come past and they're still here, and that's because just to the right of them, they have their nest. Last year, we never really established, but I don't think they successfully raised a chick. Hopefully this year will be different, and we'll get to see a little juvenile Wahlberg's eagle fluttering about. 2 pale morph Wahlberg's eagles, the first of our summer migrants to arrive, although I believe that Brent saw a steppe eagle not too long ago, so they're also on their way back. Quick opportunity for some lovely screenshots in this afternoon light, which I have to say is glorious. And speaking of our migrants, Laura, yes, I do think the lack of water and the lack of insects, it might not necessarily, no, it will delay the return of a couple of the summer migrants, things like the cuckoos and the kingfishers. And the reason I say that is because it won't necessarily delay their return to South Africa, but it might delay their return to the Sabi Sand, or at least the northern Sabi Sand. The reason I say that is I've just recently been to some of the reserves closer to the mountains, and they are not in a much better state, but certain parts of them have had a bit more in the way of rain, which means that in terms of food abundance, they might be slightly better than the birds returning to this area. So they might stick in those areas a little bit longer and not necessarily come straight back to the northern Sabi Sand. But we'll see. There is a massive citizen science project going on where people around South Africa are encouraged to record the return date of migratory birds and the leaving date of migratory birds each and every single year, and each and every single different species, as a way of doing a massive study of the effects of climate change on migratory patterns. That'll be fascinating, but that's the kind of study that will play out over over decades, basically. I'm scared how Ellie's going to go. I'm sorry. I don't want to drag us away from the beautiful eagles. And then we're going to go straight back to those lions, because when I went past them the second time, I noticed that Amber Eyes and the young female are keeping a very, very close eye on that water hole. So there is a chance, as it starts to get a little bit cooler this afternoon, that they're going to think about ambushing one of the animals coming for a drink. And that's why I heard them from Inge's house, although they've shifted slightly now. Inge's house is just through here in the bush there. A little bit hard to see for now. Whoopsie. Sorry, Dave, that was a bit bumpy. Oh, okay, so there we go. Tayla did actually give a view of where Inge's house is earlier on. Okay. So you've got an idea as to why I jumped off. Well, not jumped off. I didn't jump off my bed. I sat up quite rapidly. It just came as a little bit of a surprise. I was so deeply engrossed in my book. Right. Where is our gentleman of the bush gone? There he is. This is going to be so lovely. Oh dear, I hope our gentleman of the bush doesn't end up in Inge's garden. I forgot to shut the gate. Uh-oh. Okay. Slow her down. Shame. And he's also eating the guarri bushes, which don't have very much in the way of nutrients. Hello, boy. I can come sit with you. You're beautiful. There we go. Not even looking at us. And a big hello to Audrey, who is 12 years old and has raised a very, very good question, which is, how do elephants know where to dig for food? Because we have been watching them over the last few weeks, and actually even the last few months, digging up lots of bulbs and tubers and roots that they want. Now, Audrey, the reason that they know where to dig is almost purely due to their incredible sense of smell, which is quite phenomenal when you think about it, the fact that they can smell things underneath so many layers of soil. And also when you think about all of the stuff that their nose, well, their trunk has to do, it's amazing that they maintain that incredible sense of smell as well. But a sense of smell in an elephant is one of their dominant senses. So that's how they know where to dig. It's also how they know where to dig for water. Although, that being said, I think that there's also a level of reasoning there. Because you look at where elephants dig, they very often, for water, they very often dig either in seep lines, like a treehouse dam, or Philemon's Dip, for example, or they dig at the bend of a river that has dried up, almost like they know that that is where the water would have been at its deepest, and therefore where they will have the best chance of being able to dig up some fresh, clean, clear water. But a lot of that is governed by their sense of smell. He's not eating a guarri bush, just by the way, sorry, it was a spike thorn. So everything can be gauged by his body language. So his tail swishing backwards and forwards, almost like a grandfather clock. Oh, except there, that wasn't like a grandfather clock at all. But that sort of steady motion, one of the big things that immediately tells us that he is completely relaxed with where we are. And then the gentle flaps of the ears every now and again. And then, of course, the fact that he's feeding. Although you've got to be careful with these big old gentlemen, because they have learned all of the tricks of the trade, and so often pretend to eat, or eat and still keep a very, very close eye on you. Hello, boy. Changing it up, shifting around a little bit. So a lot can be gauged by the elephant's tail, and what you might have noticed is as we drove up to him, I'm not sure if you could see or not, but his tail did go very, very still initially, and that's generally a sign that the elephant is watching you and just waiting for you to make the next move and what you are going to do. So it's not aggressive in any way, it's just like their focus has shifted towards you for a moment. And then what often happens is, just like this gentleman, he's gone back to feeding once again and is perfectly relaxed. Hi, boy. He is magnificent. I don't think there's any other word to describe him. There we go. Lou actually spotted that. I didn't see it initially. Just a slight, I don't know if it is a growth or it is a little growth. Hold on, Dave. I think it's just a slight, strange growth pattern to his skin. It could be a little growth. They do occasionally get benign cysts or tumours on their trunks and on the rest of their bodies, so that's what that slight protrusion might have been. Oh, look at that. So much history in that eye. So many stories this elephant could tell. We are so very lucky to be able to sit and enjoy moments like this. It's incredibly peaceful. We're not going to play hide and seek again, are we, mister? That's inconvenient. Okay, let's just see how he reacts to the start of the engine. I mean, so far he's been completely relaxed. It's just this gusting wind that occasionally puts them a little bit on edge. He didn't even turn his head. Getting a bit close for my liking. Not the elephant, I meant to Inga's. Hello, big boy. He's sniffing now. So Audrey, you were wondering about it. He's looking for something to eat. He picked up something there in his trunk and then he dropped it again. Oh, he's beautiful. Just concentrating. Making sure we don't make him feel trapped between the fence and us or anything like that. Now, Elizabeth, in Singapore, you wanted to know how you can tell or estimate how old an elephant is. And it does get a little bit tricky, and I want to reposition to show you, but I don't want him to feel uncomfortable in any way or pressured between the fence and here. He's still got plenty of space though. So one of the big things to remember is that you cannot gauge an elephant's age on their growth of their tusks. That's because an elephant, it's kind of like human beings' hair color. It's genetic. So some have bigger tusks than others, some grow their tusks faster than others, maybe even like the way people grow their fingernails. So you can't judge an elephant's age by their tusks. You can when they're little. They do generally follow a relatively set growth pattern in terms of height and size. And then after that, it's a matter of looking at their general condition, the size of the elephant, although again, that is genetic. One of the best ways is to look at the temporal region and actually the general skeletal structure of the elephant. See how his temporal area is sunken in between his eye and his ear. Now that happens the older elephants get. initially in their sort of early stages, in their teenage years, in their 20s. That's quite a nice rounded part of the elephant. And then just like older, oh, this is an amazing view up his eardrum, ear canal, by the way. Sorry, I'm distracted. I don't think I've ever seen quite so far up an elephant's ear. That's amazing. And then the veins behind the ear itself. Oh, this is amazing. Sorry, Elizabeth, I got distracted. But that sunken region, once an elephant gets to about 40, 45 years old, that dip in the temporal region becomes a little bit more prominent. Oh, look at that. Isn't that amazing? A network of arteries and veins in that ear. And then, of course, the very, very fine capillary network that spreads around it. Here's an interesting thing. I'm not sure if you knew. We always talk about identifying individual elephants by the patterns of rips and tears in their ears, which will be unique to every single elephant, and then their tusks as well, and the shape of their tusks. But there you'd see there's a little rip there that will never heal and will always be an identifying feature. But if you really, really want to scientifically examine an elephant closely and identify if it's the same individual, let's say it's got a new rip in its ear or something, you look at the venation of the ear. In other words, the structure and the layout of the blood vessels. And that will be unique in each and every single elephant. And it will stay that way for its entire life. Just like a whisker spottons of whisker spottons? That's not a word. Whisker spot patterns, lions or leopards, or even just leopard spots or hyena spots. The venation of an elephant's ear is unique and stays the same throughout its life. And so if you are able to closely examine it, and there is a technique to it, you have to learn to do it, you have to practice doing it. Anybody can do it. How incredible is that? I'm going to turn around so that we can watch him feed, and so that poor Dave is able to find a more comfortable position than the one he's in now, since this elephant is right behind the vehicle. I might even go and stand next to that marula tree to give up. No, I'm not moving anywhere. Oh, he's going to do it again. Oh, he's scratching. Oh, I thought you were coming to be naughty, mister. You're just scratching your bottom on the tree. Sorry, Dave, I'm going to stop there. Sorry, mister. I thought he was going to come try sneak up behind us again. He just had an itchy spot behind his ear. I love that shot. Such an iconic scene. Anna, you've been pleasantly optimistic about my height. I want to know where I would come up to if I were to stand next to that elephant. And the answer is no, I wouldn't quite reach his shoulder. If I stood on my shoulders, let's imagine I had an identical twin and I stood on my identical twin's shoulders, then I might stand up to his shoulder. So I would probably come up to... Oh, but I suppose I see what you mean. Do you mean the bend in his leg there? Because that's actually his elbow, not the top of his shoulder. Okay, I can sort of see what you mean. Very good point. I would probably, where would we say, optimistically, Dave, I would probably come up to the bottom of that tusk, where that tusk curves. Is that too optimistic? Am I overestimating my height, ever so slightly? Okay. A head below his tusks. Did we get a good shot of him next to that marula tree? We can try that. What we try and do, Anna, is whenever we have a sort of a set point that an elephant has been standing next to, then I will go and stand next to it myself, and then what viewers will do is they'll screenshot the final result and Photoshop me next to the elephant, and then you get a really, really nice perspective of my size next to the elephant, because it's very difficult to get a sense of scale. So he was standing next to that marula tree. I'm trying to think where would have been the best moment, where would have been the best screenshot. And I think what we'll do, that was about the angle you had. I'm going to go and stand next to the tree to give Anna a good idea, and then if all of you can post your screenshots on #SafariLive on Twitter, I'll get one up on my phone in a moment, and then Anna will get a really good idea about who's been more optimistic about my height, me or Dave or you perhaps. Let's go see. He's far enough away now that I can get out of the car, I think. You just make sure he turns away. He's not going to come charging all the way across the clearing to get me, though, although the lions might. I'm joking. I'm keeping my voice down so he doesn't come back to get us, but here you go. There we go. I don't know if you can hear me, Dave, at all. Okay. You got the shot? Cool. Sorry, I didn't want to shout across to all of you and across to Dave, just in case it did disturb him in any way. Not that I was too worried about it, but I also don't know exactly where Tayla's injured buffalo is either. So I'd prefer not to disturb anything, particularly him if he chases the injured buffalo. Right, so there you go. That should have given you a little bit of a perspective as to how tall I would be next to the elephant. And just to give you an even better perspective, I am 5'7". And Kirsty tried to argue very thoroughly with me when I first started working here and said that I was 5'7", and she insisted that I wasn't. I promise you I am. I'm 5'7". I just look shorter for some reason. Okay, I'm going to let our Ellie bull slowly amble on into the distance. I don't think we're going to have a better sighting than we've just had. So please, if you can, Photoshop those pictures together, or whatever it is you do. Work your magic, and let's have a comparison shot of me and the elephant. Now, while I loop back around to those lions, let's head back across to Tayla, find out what her plans are.
I've missed all of you. It's been a while. So myself and Xander just doing a little bumble and just enjoying the tranquility that the bush has to offer this afternoon with the lovely sun. I think let's actually take a moment just to appreciate that sun. Look at it coming through the dead trees. Well, they're not dead. They're just sort of dormant for the moment. But how beautiful is that? Aren't I so spoiled that I get to see something like this every single day? And you know, it's just going to get better and better from here as that sun starts to drop behind or below the horizon. The colors are going to change to pinks and purples. That's when I actually wish for a little bit of cloud cover, a few cirrus clouds in the sky, because they always make for the perfect sunset and enhance the colors. But how special is that? That's a great opportunity. Take a screenshot over there, everybody. What a wonderful screensaver that would make. It's fantastic. I don't often get an opportunity to just always just sit and appreciate the sun, and we've had quite a bit of clouds the last few days. So I hope you enjoyed that little bit of the sun. But we're going to carry on. We've actually got a plan, Xander and I. Can you believe it? I'm trying to be organized this afternoon. we're going to go back to our friend, the injured buffalo. So we're making our way there. We're on Gallagher shortcut at the moment, heading south. And I would love to see what he's got up to. The temperature has dropped significantly. It's nice and cool now. There's it's just warm. Still t-shirt weather. I'm still in shorts. And it is so lovely. So I wonder if he perhaps hasn't maybe got up and moved around slightly. I'm obviously being very optimistic. And sorry, just to very recap quickly, because some of you are probably wondering what injured buffalo am I talking about. This morning, the 2 female lions and the Birmingham male that Jamie was with earlier and that I was with earlier were found, and they were covered in blood. And then afterwards we found this injured buffalo walking around. So we obviously put 2 and 2 together. The lions somehow managed to jump onto the back of the buffalo in an attempt to bring it down, but they were not successful. Whether it was that buffalo bull bucked and bronked around and managed to elude the lions, or the rest of the buffalo herd came back to help and chase off those lions, I'm not sure. None of us saw it, so we can just speculate. And unfortunately, he has got some serious injuries though. And that's where we're heading at the moment, as we're going back that way. And I can't help but glance over to the right and look at that wonderful sunset. I just think that is so amazing. Look at that. I just think that is so spectacular. So we're serpentining along a Gallagher shortcut. I'm going to actually just pick up the pace slightly. This is actually also a very good time to look for leopard. So you'll see my head moving side to side, having a look through the bush just to see if perhaps maybe a leopard has woken up from its slumber and going on a territorial patrol, or maybe even a hunt for food. This is actually the area where we lost Karula last night. She was just slightly to the southeast of me in this big drainage line, and we didn't see any of her tracks coming out of here. So maybe she did get lucky and she actually found something, but nothing just yet. Just so beautiful. Remember, we are live, everybody. Some of you heard me sneezing earlier. If we weren't live, we probably would have cut that out because I sneezed quite a few times. So remember, if you'd like to contact us or send us any messages or any questions, you can either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you're welcome to email us at questions@wildearth.tv. Right, we're getting closer and closer, but it is taking some time. I keep saying I'm going to speed it up a little bit, and then I get distracted. So one of the things Jamie and I were discussing this afternoon before drive, on how easy it is to concentrate on the road when you know the roads. Hello, James. James is a regular viewer. I seem to be getting to know him more and more every day, and that's what we love, is to see people who keep watching the show. And James wants to know, how long will the oxpeckers, the red-billed oxpeckers that we saw earlier today, stay on their host after, say, their host has died? So the oxpeckers feeding on ticks. James, that's a fantastic question. I think that is the first time I've ever been asked something like that, and I don't think there is an exact answer. I don't think it's anything like an hour and 20 minutes, you know. I think we can only give a guess. I reckon not very long. I don't know how long those oxpeckers would want to hang around. Obviously those ticks are eventually going to move off as well once the rotting starts to set in. There's not going to be really a flow of blood for the ticks, the parasites, to suck off of the animal. So I'm going to just completely estimate, and if you find an answer, please let me know, because I haven't got a clue. I'm going to reckon a few hours. I think they may still sit on and peck at the little bits of blood that are coming through. A few hours, and then they'll move off and carry on. But I don't know if you've ever also noticed that oxpeckers don't just stay on one animal for a very long time either. They're constantly jumping around and moving along anyway. So even on a live buffalo, they don't seem to hang around for too long. Oh, quickly, we're going to head to Jamie. She's got stalking lions.
Ah, I think they've just been spotted. I wanted to show you. Oh no, I don't think I have. This impala is walking straight towards the lionesses. The lionesses have gone flat, flat, flat. A little bit away from where we are. A little bit to the right, Dog. They're behind there. There you go. There they are, look. Oh. And I think they've gone back to sleep again. She was in proper crouch and stalk mode, but she has just relaxed once again. She's watching, and so far this impala has not spotted her. In closing the gap slowly but surely. I think he's seen something, but he's not quite sure exactly what it is he's seen. Has he realized those lions are there? This is very exciting. Oh, my heart rate's just gone up so much. I don't think that impala realizes that they're there. It's not uncommon to see prey species walking around predators, as long as they're keeping an eye on what they're doing. Alright, Amber Eyes, you definitely look a lot more relaxed than when I first saw you. It looks as though the male has shifted as well. I can just see his mane poking out of the back there. She is watching the impala, though. She's watching him. Oh, he's getting closer. She's just shifted her position slightly. She's put her back legs under her body so that she can move forward. He still hasn't spotted her. He's looking off in the wrong direction. With the gusting wind, I think he smelt them, but he doesn't know exactly where. And this whole place has been so full of lions that he might not associate it with the immediate danger. She's not as alert and focused as I expected her to be. She was when we first arrived, and I think she's just been spotted. Oh, look at that. Incredible. You don't mess with an impala's eyesight. He's not alarm calling yet. She hasn't moved, so he hasn't quite pinpointed. Oh, there we go. He's realized something's there. In summer, she would definitely have the advantage, but in winter in this clearing, it's just not quite enough cover for her to take them by surprise. Oh, the female's onto him. The male, he's not quite sure. Oh, there we go. Now we've got, I think, the alarm calls. Ah. And Amber Eyes sitting up as if to say, well, I wasn't going to eat you anyway. I wasn't planning on hunting you anyway. Look at that. Look at the proximity of those two animals. Now he's alarm calling. Still not frantically, but he is alert. And now you can imagine, yeah, there you go. There's the alarm call. Imagine the feelings running through his body. He doesn't want to run away because he knows that could trigger a chase. And he feels confident enough with the distance to not be too concerned. Oh, male's got other things on his mind. He's not planning on hunting anything. Now the impala are going off. Oh. One brave soul has snuck forward to see exactly what's going on. He ran away a little bit and then moved forward again. Foiled by impala's sharp eyesight. I happened to be listening to some of the show yesterday whilst I was in the tent, and Tayla described the sound of impala alarm calling in the best way I've ever heard any guide describe it ever before. She described it as popcorn that you are making, whether it's in the microwave or in a pot, and how you get one starting to go and then they all start to go pop, 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 pop. And impala alarm calls are just like that. One goes and then they all start to go. It's such a perfect description. I have established that those are lions, and I'm going to put a little bit more distance between myself and them. And the lions don't look terribly concerned. Lions are opportunists. Oh, phew, except when they're exhausted like this. Lions are opportunists, so despite the fact that the Nkuhumas have just come off a buffalo kill, if that male impala had not seen them, there is no doubt in my mind that if he'd come a little bit closer, she would have gone for it. Especially lionesses, they never pass off the opportunity to hunt. Right, so that was very exciting, right up until the point that they all relaxed again. That being said, I'm going to go and sit with those lions. I want to keep an eye on what they're up to for the last part of the sunset safari. In the meantime, let's jump on board with Tayla and find out where she is, and indeed if she knows where she is.
Jamie, you are hysterical. Yeah, Jamie, I'm hanging around quite close to quarantine so I can find my way back in the dark, because that's the thing I'm worried about most. And I've just passed your big elephant bull too. I have now found the naughtiest creature in the bush, if they just settle down again. Ah, there's one that's perched itself up in this tree. Let's see if we can get this one over here. Hello, you naughty, naughty critter. Can you see that? It's a vervet monkey, everybody. I haven't seen any monkeys since I've been here, and they are definitely characters in the African bush. This looks like quite a youngster. I can't tell you right now. Oh, look at it's about to deposit. How cheeky is that? It's going to the toilet. That's nasty. Now imagine if I was standing underneath that tree. That would have landed straight on top of my head, and I wouldn't have been very happy about that. Now I have some very funny stories to tell you about vervet monkeys, because I love storytelling. So all my friends know, and if they're watching, they're going to have a good chuckle, because I've told these stories many a times around a campfire with a nice glass of wine in hand. So one of my favorite moments, well, it's funny now, at the time it was not funny. I had just done a river cruise with my guests. I went and I took them on a barge-like type boat for a lovely cruise, and as we were walking up the pathway thinking, what a wonderful morning, how incredible was that, I come back to my cruiser, and the first thing that I see, and I just think to myself, something's not right here. I see this bright orange cloth, microfiber cloth, at the top of a tree. And now I know that that was behind my vehicle seat, and that was the cloth that I used to use to wipe down my cruiser. This monkey, or maybe it was a family of monkeys, they had obviously disappeared. Look at it being cheeky as normal. Had come through and rummaged through my vehicle. Well, the orange cloth was on top of a tree which I had to climb to get out. They had even bitten chunks out of my steering wheel, and it was a brand new Toyota Land Cruiser as well. Can you believe it? I couldn't believe it. My bosses were not very happy with me. Obviously it wasn't my fault. And they had gone through all the guests' bags and pulled out all the little snacks and tissues and all sorts of things that were hanging around and off the vehicle. And the final straw was, like this little one has just done, it deposited wonderful little presents all over my vehicle, and they thought it was hysterical. However, I did not think it was so funny, because I had to deal with the smell, and I suppose they didn't think it was funny either as we drove off. But how is this little character? He's so cheeky. Look at him, he's putting on an absolute show for us. Isn't this wonderful? You know, it's not always about the big cats and the big elephants. Sometimes it's really nice just to sit and watch the smaller animals. But how is this monkey? Normally the monkeys are quite nervous of us. They don't usually hang around. This one is very cheeky. Hey, look how agile they are as well. Jumping, no problem, hanging from the branches or balancing. And you are just being fantastic. And there's a few more around. You may see the others popping their heads. Oh, there's another little one. I'm going to reposition. I think we need to change our angle just to, oh no, hang on. I think we've got a good view of those two. Sorry. They're now darting across and away from us. I don't know if you can see them running away. Look at them go. I think Mom has obviously said, leave those nice people alone. Our cousins have harassed her enough over her life. And I must tell you another funny story as well. One last monkey story. So, the last time, my last experience with the vervet monkeys was that I forgot to close all my windows before game drive. Now, rookie error. Everybody that knows anything about the bushes, you know that you keep your windows closed and you keep them closed properly. However, I'd left mine open only about that much. Well, the monkeys came through. There was a monkey we used to call Stompy, because she had lost her tail. She's an old girl. She'd been there for a few years, and she was quite a character. So she had no tail, very easy. She was the naughtiest. She was the ringleader of all the monkeys there. She came through, and apparently one of the other people watched this. And I don't know why they didn't stop her anyway. She was testing all my windows to see. Well, she got lucky that afternoon. She found one that I had forgotten to close. So of course she went and she tugged and she shook, and in she went. And don't know how long she was in there. Well, I came back that evening to get changed for dinner, and we always usually put on a hosting kit when we go back and host our guests. So I went back and I did that, and I opened my room, and what a surprise I got. I was obviously not very happy. Tissues out of the tissue box. I can just imagine her sitting there ripping them away, scattered all over my room. Everything you can think of. All different types of tablets taken out and popped out of the little packets. I had shampoo and toothpaste squeezed everywhere. It was an absolute disaster. So now I'm obviously very upset, and I don't think this is very funny because I need to get ready. So I thought, let me just tidy up a little bit, and I'm picking up things, and I see a tube of super glue on the ground, and I'm like, okay. Pick it up, and I'm picking up other things, walking around, trying to throw them away. And I don't know if any of you know the sensation that you get when super glue starts to set. It becomes very hot, and I felt this feeling in my hand. And I looked down, and I went, oh no. I'd super glued my fingers to my palm of my hand. This monkey had obviously bitten into the tube of super glue and gone, I don't like that. And anyway, I got stuck with super glued fingers. However, I did manage to get them apart. I didn't need to go to a doctor or anything like that. It was sore. But yes, a lesson learned, don't leave your windows open when you're in the bush. And the monkeys have gone, and I hope you enjoyed my monkey tales. We're just going to quickly go around the corner. I actually want to get one more look at that sunset in the distance. And then we're also looking for our friend the buffalo, who we are not too far away from. But I just want to very quickly show you how unbelievable this is. Look at that. Wowee. And look how quickly it goes down too. Look at that. Oh, isn't that just so special? And you can actually start to see the different colors in the sky. Look at it going. You can almost count how quickly it's disappearing behind the trees. That's fantastic. So this afternoon it really is a sunset safari that you have joined us on. While we just watch the end of the sun drop below the horizon, I think shoot on over to Jamie and see what those lions are up to.
We have caught up with our lovely lions, and they are not up to much at the moment, having a relatively restful afternoon. It's a beautiful temperature. They've watched the impala slowly walk past. At one point, one of the lionesses thought about focusing on them, and then she relaxed again. It was interesting the way she was watching from underneath our vehicle. There were a couple of impala moving about on the opposite side. It was almost like she was thinking about using the vehicle to hide her approach, since there's not much in the way of cover here. From my perspective, it didn't look as though they were as in the open as they actually are. I think they were slightly hidden behind that bush, and I thought they were more covered up. And it does explain why the impala spotted them as quickly as he did. The male is lying a little way off to the side. I think he's been given one or two hidings this afternoon. He's got that disgruntled look. They're not mating. One of the females, I did ask whether or not there was any sign of them mating, and apparently one of the females did sort of approach him and then gave him a bit of a smack when he got too over-eager. He's sitting off away, looking a little bit disgruntled, slightly windswept. I mean, the wind sweeping through his mane is very, very beautiful. He could actually take out a couple of contracts for shampoo adverts. Look at that. Just ruffling the top of his mane. But other than that, he's doing what male lions, well, all lions, but especially male lions, do best, which is sleeping away. I think that he was responsible, or at least his movement into the female's personal space was responsible for the growling that I heard earlier from the safety of my bedroom. All in all, a peaceful scene, but the lioness is still watching action at the waterhole, waiting, just waiting for the potential opportunity. There is a Nyala walking away from the dam. He's a bit tricky for Dave to see. He's right at the back there. Well, that's a little bit more worth the lion's while than an impala, because of course one impala between two lionesses and one male lion is not really worth, almost not really worth the effort, especially with a male involved. There's Ronald the Rover's house, by the way, canvas bag. For new viewers who don't know who Ronald is, well, you'll have to stay tuned. Ronald is an amazing character. And there, of course, is Woyatela Lodge. Yes, an impala might not be worth exerting oneself on this warm evening, especially because they'll know that the male will come and take most of it. But a Nyala bull, possibly. Just depends upon whether or not he stumbles into their vicinity. Right, quickly, because I know that not all of you have Twitter accounts. Thank you, first of all, very, very much for sending through your... Oopsie. Hold on. I've been told to wait one moment. Not all of you do have Twitter accounts, but there are those of you that were sending through the screenshots there of the wonderful elephant and the comparison in size between myself and the elephant. So a very big thank you to somebody who has tagged me in it, but done a marvellous job of photoshopping me. Carrie Michael. Thank you to Carrie Michael, who's done a marvellous job of photoshopping myself with the elephant. So there we go. That is where I would go up to if I were... There we go, that's much nicer.
Not too far from the tusk.
Not too far from the tusk. Thank you, Dave. Maybe I'm a little bit taller than you think I am. Or not. It's probably about a head shorter than the tusk. That's awesome. Thank you very, very much for that. And there you go. A size comparison. That's also the coolest picture in the world because it makes me look ridiculously cool. I'll use that for my new cover photo. Deceptive. It looks like I'm being very, very naughty in the bush. That's so cool. Okay, I'm going to stop looking at that now and pop it down. Carrie, may I please use that as my cover photo? Or is that a little bit naughty? I hope you wouldn't be offended if I did. Right, back to our lovely lions and away from our beautiful elephant bull, although I must say, spending time with him the afternoon flew by. I couldn't believe it when I realized that we were into the last sort of half an hour of our sunset safari. So who have we got here? Looks like Amber Eyes and the young lioness. The young lioness who just... Did you see that, Dave? She just bit her own back foot. Obviously there was something really itchy there and she just snapped at it like a dog might do. Now there's obviously something irritating her there. I Dream of Africa. Oh, another big yawn. And sorry, before we go into I Dream of Africa's question, just a note, licking paws and yawning can often be a precursor to the big cats getting up, especially if they lick their front paws. I think this back paw is just irritating her a little bit. So there is a chance that these lions could get moving before the end of the sunset safari. Now, I Dream of Africa, of course, we're looking at the two females, I think. I know we're looking at Amber Eyes, who doesn't have cubs, and I think it's the youngest female as well, who also doesn't have cubs. And you wanted to know whether or not they would fall pregnant or not, out of fear that the older cubs might hurt their new cubs, boisterously playing with them or something similar. The answer is they absolutely could be pregnant already. We could be anticipating new little lion cubs in the next 2 or so months. it'll be impossible for us to tell until right up until the end. It's only in the last 2 weeks or so that it becomes really clear that a lioness is pregnant, or maybe if we're looking closely, the last month. I think that they could fall pregnant. I don't think that I don't think there's any recorded cases of lionesses being concerned about the safety of their cubs. Yes, definitely there is a tendency towards synchronizing estrus cycles so that the females allosuckle, but it doesn't always work out, particularly when you've got quite a few members of a pride, and of course not every mating is successful. What they will do, though, because you are absolutely right, older cubs can injure younger cubs, what they will do is hide the cubs away for 6 weeks, if not longer, until they think that the cubs are strong enough to handle the boisterous games of the older cubs. And there are cases where lionesses have introduced their cubs too soon to a pride with pre-existing lion cubs, and the older lion cubs have actually accidentally killed their younger cousins. We've seen how our lion cubs play with each other. Now imagine them double or triple that size, which they will be in the next they'll be at least double the size in the next 2 months. And imagine them playing roughly with a tiny, tiny little cub. You can understand how much damage they could do. But the mom's almost always there to defend them. And I know you enjoyed that incredible sighting while I was on leave, where the youngest set of cubs was introduced to the rest of the pride, and you saw how watchful Mom was. Oh, beautiful show of teeth. Oh, we're going to send you over to Tayla, because she has, I'm not sure if I misheard this or not, a special Franklin.
I'm sure some of you are thinking, what is a special Franklin? So everybody, this may be a new bird for some of you. This is a coqui Franklin, but it's quite nice because we actually have a family over here. We've got Mom and we've got Dad, and we even had a little juvenile, which is quite exciting to see. I don't know where the others have gone now. I'm trying to find them. Sandra's doing a fantastic job on trying to relocate the rest of them. Ah, they're behind the elephant dung. Just to the left. They are there somewhere. I saw the others there. So that one over there that you're looking at, that looks like the male. You see how his head is quite yellow. Now the female has, oh, listen. Look at that. And that's very typical, that the birds will do one last call just before the sun sets. And that's the male, like I said. The female's got a little bit more white on her face and sort of a few more black markings. The male has got that tawny coloured head. And they were feeding their chick as well. They were picking out some termites a little bit earlier. But that's amazing. You don't often get to see coqui Franklins. I think I can count on my hands. I think I've seen this, is probably the 6th time I've ever seen a coqui Franklin before. And to see a family is fantastic. So I'm so sorry for stealing you away from Jamie. But this was just too special to let go. Where did the rest of them go? And we've also found our friend the buffalo, who you can see in the distance. There he is. Can you see that strange figure at the back? That is our friend, the very injured buffalo, and he hasn't really moved much. Sandra and I have decided that he's just turned around and that's it. And he's not looking too good. He had his head flat on the ground, though I see he's looking around now, but possibly because it's getting a little bit darker, I'm sure he's feeling very weary and very vulnerable. Oh, that was amazing to see those coqui Franklin and to even see them calling. That's incredible. I've only ever heard their call, so that was the first time for me to actually be able to sit and watch one calling right on your screen. So I hope you managed to get some great shots. I was too engrossed in that sighting to even pick up my camera and take a picture of that special Franklin. So I hope you all hashtagging Safari Live, and I look forward to seeing some of those photos a little bit later, those screenshots that hopefully some of you managed to take a little bit later. And now I want to turn your attention to the moon. Have a look at this. Just look how beautiful this is. How incredible is that? It's almost a full moon. I can almost see the Easter bunny in the moon. My mom always taught me it wasn't the man in the moon, it was the Easter bunny. How incredible is that? You can even see some of the craters. Wow, it's so beautiful. We have been so fortunate this evening. We've been blessed with lions. We've been blessed with an unbelievable sunset. And now look at this moon as it's rising over the quarantine plains. Hopefully this buffalo is going to have a little bit of luck tonight. At least he'll maybe be able to see things that are coming towards him and hopefully be warned before the lions make their approach. Well, I'm being a bit optimistic. I'm hoping that those lions that Jamie's got moves on behind us and does find this buffalo. I think in a way it'll actually be better for him just to put him out of his misery, because it's never nice to see animals suffering, and he definitely isn't on the happy side. I think let's have one last look at our friend the buffalo. Maybe it's the last time that we see him alive. But it is very difficult to try and see him through all those trees. He's moved into an even more tricky position. But there he sits. His head is still up. Actually, let me go back a little bit. Let me go do a little bit of a reverse. Yeah, Rusty in reverse. We had an original spot through there. Is that okay? We gotta say, just communicating as to where we think we should go. And I can see him in the distance. We're going to zoom in now. It's a little bit better. So you can see he's got his head raised. You can't see any of the wounds on him now, obviously, with all the leaves obstructing him. But we are definitely going to follow up on him in the morning and see how he is doing. Or I'd be quite happy to find a few lions or even some hyenas attached to his rump. It's so peaceful now, not even the birds are talking anymore. The hardy-dars let off one last shout in the distance, and it's absolutely quiet. Good evening, Aaron. So Aaron wants to know if I've got a favorite nocturnal animal. I'm quite a twitcher. I enjoy the birds, so I have to say owls, any of the owls, particularly, which is my favorite owl? I think I like the Varroes, the giant eagle owl. They're quite impressive. Their size is just magnificent. Mammals, what is my favorite nocturnal mammal? I'm gonna have to go with the aardvark, the ant bear. If some of you don't know what that is, it's a strange pig-like looking creature. Actually, I think I'm going to find you a photo. Let me have a look for a photo. Ah, that was incredible. I opened it up on the exact page. Can you see that? That is what an aardvark looks like. So aardvark is an interesting creature. So it means ant bear or earth pig is the direct translation. But just quickly, can you have a look at his long sticky tongue? I actually don't know if this is a male or not. Look at that long tongue over there. Now, and he's even a little termite mound that is drawn in this book. How hysterical is that? So that's what that aardvark will use. He'll use that long sticky tongue after it's dug with those big claws into a termite mound, and then it will lap them up with that. So that is probably my favorite mammal, and they are very, very difficult to see, and it's obviously one of the creatures that we're always looking for. This crepuscular period, this last bit of light that we're experiencing at the moment, it's actually the best time to see them. All the diurnal animals, the daytime animals, are now going to rest, and all the nighttime creatures are on their way out. We heard it. We heard that Cokie Franklin giving one last shout, and we haven't heard him say anything else, and we'll probably only hear him in the morning again. It was really beautiful. It's been such a wonderful day. I've absolutely enjoyed every single minute of it. The only thing that could have been better is that I was hoping to find a herd of elephants. I've been searching for a herd of elephants now for 3 drives, and I haven't found them, and I'm itching to get my daily dose of elephants. I absolutely love them. But let's take a little bumble. We're going to bring the spotlight out in a moment. I don't know how well it's going to work. Oh, not yet. It's not time yet. Hello, Gracie. Gracie is our #1 fan, everybody. So please send some shout outs to Gracie. Gracie wants to know how to spell my name. Gracie, so it's a strange way to spell it. It's not like how you would spell Taylor Swift's name. You spell my name Tayla. Different spelling. So in South Africa, I get called all sorts of interesting names. It was sort of my pet hate growing up at school. Everyone used to call me Tayla. But it's not Tayla, it's Tayla, in fact. And I'm so glad that you're enjoying my stories. I've got lots and lots of stories, and every day I'm coming up, and well, not coming up because my stories are all true, but I'm seeing new things that I add to my story journal. Maybe one day I'll have enough stories to put together to create, maybe try and do them quite funny and make a little book or something like that, just for some friends and family. They always enjoy hearing my stories. Right, everybody? So it's that time of the evening where I'm going to say goodbye to you all, and thank you so much for today. Like I said, it's been absolutely fantastic. The wind has calmed down. Everything is just perfect this evening. So once again, thank you so much, Zander, for being behind camera and helping me when we navigated. We didn't get lost. Zander's also new, so we're both learning the reserve together. So cheerio, and I'll see you all bright and early for our sunrise safari.
And what a marvelous sunset safari it has been. Thoroughly enjoyable, and a perfect way to finish off then with our sleepy lions, although one slightly more awake. Oh no, I spoke too soon. One was slightly more awake than the other. She's now a little bit asleep, and we'll have to wait for tomorrow morning to arrive to find out what the end of the story, or at least I think it will probably be the end of the story for that poor buffalo on quarantine clearings. We're about, if I understand correctly exactly where he is, we're probably about 700 or so odd yards from his position with these lions. And if they don't find him, perhaps the hyenas might. Either way, I hope that he either heals up and stands up quickly, or that his suffering isn't terribly prolonged. Girls? But we will have to wait until the sunrise safari until we find out. Just by the way, in case you hear some happy music this evening on the Djuma Dam camera, because I can hear them now, that is because one very happy couple just got engaged. Not me, just to clarify, the happy couple staying at one of the lodges. Just to clarify the party that may well be happening this evening, that is what has been going on. I hope they've enjoyed their view that they've had. They haven't moved from the veranda, and they've had a view of lions, and a massive bull elephant, and a whole host of zebra and impala and nyala. I think it must have been a very pleasant way to spend an afternoon. Amber Eye's giving herself a couple of smoothing, grooming licks. No decision as to whether or not she's going to hop up just yet. I did say that this is what lions do best, which is sleeping. And Hein, you wanted to know how many hours lions sleep in the day. It can be up to 20, even 22 hours a day, if they feed, let's say they've got a big meal like a buffalo carcass. That being said, it's probably more along the lines of around maybe 12 to 14. As night falls, these lionesses will get up and start moving. They might catnap still throughout the night, believe it or not, but for the most part, lions are primarily nocturnal movers. And they walk enormous distances. I mean, I'm jokingly saying that they are champion sleepers. But that Birmingham boy walked from Cheetah Plains at some point last night, covered enormous distance in probably just the space of a few hours. So it's not that I'm calling them lazy. I know that when they want to, they can be incredibly active. He probably walked about 20 kilometers last night, which is more than most of us walk, on your average day. Our lionesses are going to snooze away for another few minutes, I imagine, before deciding to move up and head out hunting. Already their rapid digestive process is making them desirous of their next meal, and we'll have to wait until the sunrise safari tomorrow morning to find out if they are successful. In the meantime, we have reached the end of our sunset safari, and unfortunately it has flown by this afternoon. It's time to do our goodbyes and thank yous. So a big thank you to Dave on camera, who's done a marvelous job as he always does. Nice to be out, Dave.
Yeah.
As well as to Lou and Rebecca and Jerry in Final Control. And most importantly, a big thank you to all of you watching across the globe. And thank you to those of you who sent through screenshots. I know lots and lots of you did. We'll catch up with you tomorrow morning. Have a marvelous day wherever you are, and we'll see you then.